Principles and Practices of Management. Unit 1. Management and Overview. Q.1. A and S. Define management and describe its essential characteristics or nature. According to Harold Kuhns, management is an art of getting things done through and with the people in formally organized groups. It is an art of creating an environment in which people can perform and individuals and can cooperate towards attainment of group goals. According to F. W. Taylor, management is an art of knowing what to do, when to do, and see that it is done in the best and cheapest way. 1, 2, 3. The act, manner, or practice of managing, handling, supervision, or control, management of a crisis, management of factory workers, the person or persons who control or direct a business or other enterprise. Skill in managing, executive ability. Management is a purposive activity. It is something that directs group efforts towards the attainment of certain predetermined goals. It is the process of working with and through others to effectively achieve the goals of the organization, by efficiently using limited resources in the changing world. Of course, these goals may vary from one enterprise to another. E.g., for one enterprise it may be launching of new products by conducting market surveys, and for other it may be profit maximization by minimizing cost. Management involves creating an internal environment. It is the management which puts into use the various factors of production. Therefore, it is the responsibility of management to create such conditions which are conducive to maximum efforts so that people are able to perform their task efficiently and 8. Effectively. It includes ensuring availability of raw materials, determination of wages and salaries, formulation of rules and regulations, etc. Therefore, we can say that good management includes both being effective and efficient. Being effective means doing the appropriate task. I.e. fitting the square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. Being efficient means doing the task correctly, at least possible cost with minimum wastage of resources. Characteristics or nature of management can be highlighted as: management is goal-oriented. The success of any management activity is accessed by its achievement of the predetermined goals or objective. Management is a purposeful activity. It is a tool which helps use of human and physical resources to fulfill the predetermined goals. For example, the goal of an enterprise is maximum consumer satisfaction by producing quality goods and at reasonable prices. This can be achieved by employing efficient persons and making better use of scarce resources. Management integrates human, physical and financial resources. In an organization, human beings work with non-human resources like machines, materials, financial assets, buildings, etc. Management integrates human efforts to those resources. It brings harmony among the human, physical and financial resources. Management is continuous. Management is an ongoing process. It involves continuous handling of problems and issues. It is concerned with identifying the problem and taking appropriate steps to solve it. For achieving this target, various policies have to be framed, but this is not the end. Marketing and advertising is also to be done. For this, policies have to be again framed. Hence this is an ongoing process. Management is all-pervasive. Management is required in all types of organizations, whether it is political, social, cultural or business, because it helps and directs various efforts towards a definite purpose. Thus clubs, hospitals, political parties, colleges, hospitals, business firms all require management. When 9. Ever more than one person is engaged in working for a common goal, management is necessary. Whether it is a small business firm which may be engaged in trading or a large firm like Tata Iron and Steel, management is required everywhere irrespective of size or type of activity. Management is a group activity. Management is very much less concerned with individual grave accent S efforts. It is more concerned with groups. It involves the use of group effort to achieve predetermined goal of management of ABC and Company is good refers to a group of persons managing the enterprise organized activities. Management is a process of organized activities. Groups of people cannot be involved in the performance of activities without organized activities. Management comes into existence where a group of people are involved in achieving a common objective. The organized activities may take a variety of forms ranging from a tightly structured organization to a loosely knit organization. Existence of objectives. The existence of objectives is a basic criterion of every human organization. The organizational objectives are the desired state of affairs which an organization attempts to realize. This realization of objectives is sought through the coordinated efforts of the people constituting an organization. Decision-making. Management process involves decision-making at all levels. Decision-making describes the process by which a course of action is selected as the way to deal with a specific problem. If there is only one alternative, the question of decision-making does not arise. The quality of alternatives which a manager selects determines the organization grave accent's performance, and the future of the organization. Relationship among resources. The essence of management is integration of various organizational resources. Resources include money, machine, materials, and people. Management is concerned with the proper utilization of human resources which, in turn, utilize other resources. 10. Working with and through people. Management involves working with people and getting organizational objectives achieved through them. Working through people is interpreted in terms of assigning activities to subordinates. Multidisciplinary. Management is multidisciplinary because it includes knowledge/information from various disciplines: economics, statistics, maths, psychology, sociology, ecology, operations research, history, etc. Management integrates the ideas and concepts taken from these disciplines and presents newer concepts which can be put into practice for managing the organizations. Management is dynamic. Management has framed certain principles, which are flexible in nature and change with the changes in the environment in which an organization exists. Relative, not absolute principles. Management principles are relative, not absolute, and they should be applied according to the need of the organization. A particular management principle has different strengths in different conditions. Therefore, principles should be applied according to the prevailing conditions. Management, science or art. Management, like other practices, whether medicine, music composition, or even accountancy, is an art. It is know-how. Yet an person can work better by using the organized knowledge about management. It is this knowledge that constitutes science. Thus, managing as practice is an art. The organized knowledge underlying the practice may be referred to as science. Management as profession. Management has been regarded as a profession by many, while many have suggested that it has not achieved the status of a profession. Schein concluded that by some criteria management is indeed a profession, but by other criteria it is not. Today we can see many signs that management is working towards increased professionalism. Management is universal. Management is a universal phenomenon. However, management principles are not universally applicable but are to be modified according to the needs of the situation. 11. Q.2. Explain management as a science and as an art and as a both. A and S. Management as a science. Science is a systematic body of knowledge pertaining to a specific field of study that contains general facts which explain the phenomenon. That establishes cause and effect relationship between two or more variables and underlines the principles governing their relationship. These principles are developed through scientific method of observation and verification through testing. Science is characterized by following main features. 1. Universal the acceptance principles. Scientific principles represent basic truth about a particular field of inquiry. These principles may be applied in all situations, at all time and at all places. E.g., law of gravitation which can be applied in all countries irrespective of the time. Management also contains some fundamental principles which can be applied universally, like the principle of unity of command, i.e. one man, one boss. This principle is applicable to all type of organization, business or non-business. 2. Experimentation and observation. ESC. Scientific principles are derived through scientific investigation and researching, i.e. they are based on logic. E.g., the principle that Earth goes round the Sun has been scientifically proved. Management principles are also based on scientific inquiry and observation and not only on the opinion of Henry K. Odell. They have been developed through experiments and practical experiences of large number of managers. E.g., it is observed that fair remuneration to personnel helps in creating a satisfied workforce. 3. Cause and effect relationship. Principles of science lay down cause and effect relationship between various variables. E.g., when metals are heated, they are expanded. The cause is heating and result is expansion. The same is true for management, therefore it also establishes cause and effect relationship. e.g. lack of parity balance between authority and responsibility will lead to ineffectiveness. If you know the cause, i.e. lack of balance, the effect can 12 be ascertained easily, i.e. ineffectiveness. Similarly, if workers are given bonuses, fair wages, they will work hard, but when not treated in fair and just manner, reduces productivity of organization. 4. Test of validity and predictability. Validity of scientific principles can be tested at any time or any number of times, i.e. they stand the test of time. Each time these tests will give same result. Moreover, future events can be predicted with reasonable accuracy by using scientific principles, e.g. H2NO2 will always give H2O. Principles of management can also be tested for validity. E.g. principle of unity of command can be tested by comparing two persons, one having single boss and one having two bosses. The performance of first person will be better than second. It cannot be denied that management has a systematic body of knowledge, but it is not as exact as that of other physical sciences like biology, physics, and chemistry, etc. The main reason for the inexactness of science of management is that it deals with human beings and it is very difficult to predict their behavior accurately. Since it is a social process, therefore it falls in the area of social sciences. It is a flexible science, and that is why its theories and principles may produce different results at different times, and therefore it is a behavior science. Ernest Dale has called it as a soft science. Management as an art implies application of knowledge and skill to trying about desired results. An art may be defined as personalized application of general theoretical principles for achieving best possible results. Art has the following characters. Practical knowledge. Every art requires practical knowledge, therefore learning of theory is not sufficient. It is very important to know practical application of theoretical principles. E.g. to become a good painter, the person may not only be knowing different color and brushes but different designs, dimensions, situations, etc. to use them appropriately. The manager can't never be successful just by 13. Obtaining degree or diploma in management. He must have also known how to apply various principles in real situations by functioning in capacity of manager. Personal skill. Although theoretical base may be same for every artist, but each one has his own style and approach towards his job. That is why the level of success and quality of performance differs from one person to another. E.g. there are several qualified painters, but M.F. Hussain is recognized for his style. Similarly, management as an art is also personalized. Every manager has his own way of managing things based on his knowledge, experience and personality. That is why some managers are known as good managers like Etienne Berlot, Rahul Bajaj, whereas others as bad. Creativity. Every artist has an element of creativity in line. That is why he aims at producing something that has never existed before, which requires combination of intelligence and imagination. Management is also creative in nature like any other art. It combines human and non-human resources in useful way so as to achieve desired results. It tries to produce sweet music by combining chords in an efficient manner. Perfection through practice. Practice makes a man perfect. Every artist becomes more and more proficient through constant practice. Similarly, managers learn through an art of trial and error initially, but application of management principles over the years makes them perfect in the job of managing. Goal-oriented. Every art is result-oriented as it seeks to achieve concrete results. In the same manner, management is also directed toward the accomplishment of predetermined goals. Managers use various resources like men, money, material, machinery and methods to promote growth of an organization. Thus, we can say that management is an art, therefore it requires application of certain principles. Rather, it is an art of highest order because it deals with molding the attitude and behavior of people at work towards desired goals. 14. Management as both science and art. Management is both an art and a science. The above-mentioned points clearly reveal that management combines features of both science as well as art. It is considered as a science because it has an organized body of knowledge which contains certain universal truth. It is called an art because managing requires certain skills which are personal possessions of managers. Science provides the knowledge and art deals with the application of knowledge and skills. The manager, to be successful in his profession, must acquire the knowledge of science and the art of applying it. Therefore, management is a judicious blend of science as well as an art because it proves the principles, and the way these principles are applied is a matter of art. Science teaches to grave accent, no grave accent, and art teaches to grave accent, do grave accent. E.g., a person cannot become a good singer unless he has knowledge about various ragas and he also applies his personal skill in the art of singing. Same way, it is not sufficient for manager to first know the principles, but he must also apply them in solving various managerial problems. That is why science and art are not mutually exclusive, but they are complementary to each other, like tea and biscuit, bread and butter, etc. The old saying that manager are born has been rejected in favor of managers are made. It has been aptly remarked that management is the oldest of art and youngest of science. To conclude, we can say that science is the root and art is the fruit. 15. Q.3. They and S. Explain the various concepts of management. Meaning of concept. Concept is the idea or image or understanding about things, activity or a person that emerges in the mind of a person. There are several different concepts about management. Economists have treated management as a factor of production, sociologists have treated it as a class or group of persons, practitioners have treated it as a process comprising different activates. There are three basic concepts of management. Management as a discipline. Discipline refers to a field of study having well-defined concepts and principles. When we refer to management as a discipline, we include in it the various relevant concepts and principles, the knowledge of which aids in managing management as a group of people. We refer to management as a group of people in which we include all those personnel who perform managerial functions in organizations. We refer to two distinct classes or groups of personnel in the organization. In the first category, we include all persons who are responsible for managerial functions, and in the second category, we include non-managerial personnel. Management as a process. In studying management discipline, we generally refer to management as a process. A process can simply be defined as systematic method of handling activates. However, the management process can be treated as a complex one which can be referred to as an identifiable flow of information through interrelated stages of analysis directed towards the achievement of an objective or set of objective. It is a concept of dynamic rather than static existence in which events and relationships must be seen as dynamic, continuous, and flexible, and as 16 such, must be considered as a whole. Thus, management as a process includes various activities and sub-activities. The new concept of management. Our promise is to build a long-term relationship based on professionalism, communication, integrity and trust. Q.4. What do you understand by the term level of management? Describe the different levels of management. Briefly, they and S. Level of management refers to the categories or layers of managerial positions in an organization. The level of management determines the amount of authority and status of the person occupying the position at that level. These managerial positions divided into various categories according to their amount of authority and status. They are known as the level of management. Managerial hierarchy consists of top-level management or senior management, middle-level management, lower-level management such as supervisors or team leaders. Top-level management require an extensive knowledge of management roles and skills. They have to be very aware of external factors such as markets. Their decisions are generally of a long-term nature. Their decisions are made using analytic, directive, conceptual and /or behavioral /participative processes. They are responsible for strategic decisions. 17. They have to choke out the plan and see that plan may be effective in the future. They are executive in nature. These includes board of directors, CEO grave accent S. They comprise small groups but are responsible for overall management. They formulate plans, decide objectives and communicate to middle-level management. Middle level of management. The branch managers and departmental managers constitute middle level. They are responsible to the top management for the functioning of their department. They devote more time to organizational and directional functions. In small organization, there is only one layer of middle level of management, but in big enterprises, there may be senior and junior middle level management. Their role can be emphasized as they execute the plans of the organization in accordance with the policies and directives of the top management. They make plans for the subunits of the organization. They participate in employment and training of lower-level management. They interpret and explain policies from top level management to lower level. They are responsible for coordinating the activities within the division or department. It also sends important reports and other important data to top-level management. They evaluate performance of junior managers. They are also responsible for inspiring lower-level managers towards better performance. 18. 18. Lower level of management. Lower level is also known as supervisory/operative level of management. It consists of supervisors, foremen, section officers, superintendent, etc. According to R.C. Davis, supervisory management refers to those executives whose work has to be largely with personal oversight and direction of operative employees. In other words, they are concerned with direction and controlling function of management. Their activities include assigning of jobs and tasks to various workers. They guide and instruct workers for day-to-day activities. They are responsible for the quality as well as quantity of production. They are also entrusted with the responsibility of maintaining good relation in the organization. They communicate workers' problems, suggestions, and recommend data appeals, etc. to the higher level and higher level goals and objectives to the workers. They help to solve the grievances of the workers. They supervise and guide the subordinates. They are responsible for providing training to the workers. They arrange necessary materials, machines, tools, etc. for getting the things done. They prepare periodical reports about the performance of the workers. They ensure discipline in the enterprise. They motivate workers. They are the image builders of the enterprise because they are in direct contact with the workers. Q.5. They and S. Explain main objectives of management. The main objectives of management are 1. Getting maximum results with minimum efforts. The main objective of management is to secure maximum outputs with minimum efforts and resources. 19. Management is basically concerned with thinking and utilizing human, material and financial resources in such a manner that would result in best combination. This combination results in reduction of various costs. 2. Increasing the efficiency of factors of production. Through proper utilization of various factors of production, their efficiency can be increased to a great extent, which can be obtained by reducing spoilage, wastages and breakage of all kinds. This in turn leads to saving of time, effort and money, which is essential for the growth and prosperity of the enterprise. 3. Maximum prosperity for employer and employees. Management ensures smooth and coordinated functioning of the enterprise. This in turn helps in providing maximum benefits to the employee in the shape of good working conditions, suitable wage system, incentive plans on the one hand and higher profits to the employer on the other hand. 4. Human betterment and social justice. Management serves as a tool for the upliftment as well as betterment of the society. Through increased productivity and employment, management ensures better standards of living for the society. It provides justice through its uniform policies. 5. It helps in achieving group goals. It arranges the factors of production, assembles and organizes the resources, integrates the resources in effective manner to achieve goals. It directs group efforts towards the achievement of predetermined goals. By defining objective of organization clearly, there would be no wastage of time, money and effort. Management converts disorganized resources of men, machines, money, etc. into useful enterprise. These resources are coordinated, directed and controlled in such a manner that enterprise work towards attainment of goals. 6. Optimum utilization of resources. Management utilizes all the physical and human resources productively. This leads to efficacy in management. Management provides maximum utilization of scarce resources by selecting its best possible alternate use in industry from out of various uses. It makes use of 20 experts, professional, and these services leads to use of their skills, knowledge, and proper utilization and avoids wastage. If employees and machines are producing its maximum, there is no underemployment of any resources. 7. Reduces costs. It gets maximum results through minimum input by proper planning and by using minimum input and getting maximum output. Management uses physical, human and financial resources in such a manner which results in best combination. This helps in cost reduction. 8. Establishes sound organization. No overlapping of efforts, smooth and coordinated functions. To establish sound organizational structure is one of the objective of management which is in tune with objective of organization, and for fulfillment of this, that establishes effective authority and responsibility relationship, i.e. who is accountable to whom, who can give instructions to whom, to our superiors and to our subordinates. Management fills up various positions with right persons, having right skills, training and qualification. All jobs should be cleared to everyone. 9. Establishes equilibrium. It enables the organization to survive in changing environment. It keeps in touch with the changing environment. With the change's external environment, the initial coordination of organization must be changed. So it adapts organization to changing demand of market/changing needs of societies. It is responsible for growth and survival of organization. 10. Essentials for prosperity of society. Efficient management leads to better economical production, which helps in turn to increase the welfare of people. Good management makes a difficult task easier by avoiding wastage of scarce resource. It improves standard of living. It increases the profit, which is beneficial to business, and society will get maximum output at minimum cost by creating employment opportunities which generate income in hands. Organization comes with new products and research as beneficial for society. 21. Q.6. They and S. Explain the different function of management. Managerial functions. Various management scholars studied different organizations at different times. They identified the functions of management in their own ways. Henry K. Odell, the father of functional or administrative management, remarked, "To manage is to forecast and plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate and to control." Thus, K. Odell classified management functions into 5 categories as follows. IVV, to forecast and plan, to organize, to command or to give orders, to coordinate, and to control. Luther Gulick offered a list of administrative functions under the catchword PODSCORB. Each alphabet of this keyword PODSCORB stands for the following activities: P for planning, O for organization, D for directing, S for staffing, CO for coordinating, R for reporting, and B for budgeting. According to Coutts and O'Donnell, the most useful method of classifying managerial activities is to group them around the functions of planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. They think that coordination is not a separate function but is the essence of management. Thus, for the sake of analysis of their management process, we can classify the management functions into the following categories. 22. 1. Planning. It is the basic function of management. It deals with chalking out a future course of action and deciding in advance the most appropriate course of action for achievement of predetermined goals. According to Coutts, planning is deciding in advance what to do, when to do, and how to do. It bridges the gap from where we are and where we want to be. The plan is a future course of actions. It is an exercise in problem solving and decision making. Planning is determination of courses of action to achieve desired goals. Thus, planning is a systematic thinking about ways and means for accomplishment of predetermined goals. Planning is necessary to ensure proper utilization of human and non-human resources. It is all-pervasive. It is an intellectual activity, and it also helps in avoiding confusion, uncertainties, risks, wastages, etc. Budgeting. Planning involves the following steps. Determination of objectives, forecasting, formulation of policies and programs. 23. IV. Preparation of schedules. Planning is a process of seeking answer to some of the following particular questions. IVV. What is to be done? Why it is to be done? How the work will be done? Who will do the work? When the work will be done? Where the work will be done? Planning pervades at all the levels of organization. But the scope of planning is not the same at each level of organization. Higher the level of organization, the broader the scope of planning. Planning may be long-term and short-term. Organizing it is the process of bringing together physical, financial and human resources and developing productive relationship amongst them for achievement of organizational goals. According to Henry K. Odell, to organize a business is to provide it with everything useful for its functioning, i.e. raw material, tools, capital and personnel. S. To organize a business involves determining and providing human and non-human resources to the organizational structure. Organizing as a process involves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Identification of activities. Classification of grouping of activities. Assignment of duties. Delegation of authority and creation of responsibility. coordinating authority and responsibility relationships. 24. 24. 3. Staffing. It is the function of manning the organization structure and keeping in demand. Staffing has assumed greater importance in the recent years due to advancement of technology, increase in size of business, complexity of human behavior, etc. The main purpose of staffing is to put right man on right job, i.e. square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. According to Cults and O'Grave accent Donnell, managerial function of staffing involves manning the organization structure through proper and effective selection, appraisal and development of personnel to fill the roles designed. The structure. Staffing involves 1. Manpower planning, estimating manpower in terms of searching, choose the person and giving the right place. Recruitment, selection and placement. Training and development. Remuneration. Performance appraisal. Promotions and transfer. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4. Directing. It is that part of managerial function which actuates the organizational methods to work efficiently for achievement of organizational purposes. It is considered life spark of the enterprise which sets it in motion the action of people, because planning, organizing and staffing are the mere preparations for doing the work. Direction is that inner personnel aspect of management which deals directly with influencing, guiding, supervising, motivating subordinate for the achievement of organizational goals. Direction has following elements. 1, 2, 3. Supervision, motivation, leadership. 25. 4. Communication. Supervision implies overseeing the work of subordinates by their superiors. It is the act of watching and directing work and workers. Motivation means inspiring, stimulating or encouraging the subordinates with zeal to work. Positive, negative, monetary, non-monetary incentives may be used for this purpose. Leadership may be defined as a process by which manager guides and influences the work of subordinates in desired direction. Communications is the process of passing information, experience, opinion, etc. from one person to another. It is a bridge of understanding. 5. Controlling. It implies measurement of accomplishment against the standards and correction of deviation, if any, to ensure achievement of organizational goals. The purpose of controlling is to ensure that everything occurs in conformities with the standards. An efficient system of control helps to predict deviations before they actually occur. According to Theo Hyman, controlling is the process of checking whether or not proper progress is being made towards the objectives and goals, and acting if necessary to correct any deviation. According to Coutts and O'Donnell, controlling is the measurement and correction of performance activities of subordinates in order to make sure that the enterprise objectives and plans desired to obtain them as being accomplished. Therefore, controlling has following steps: A. Establishment of standard performance. B. Measurement of actual performance. C. Comparison of actual performance with the standards and finding out deviation, if any. 26. 26. D. Corrective action. Q.7. Discuss the qualities of a successful manager. A and S. It is easy to find a bad manager, but much harder to find a successful one. So what makes a manager successful? Here are my top 10 qualities of a successful manager. 1. Demonstrates integrity. The manager should walk the talk. The old saying, lead by example, is the first quality that makes a manager stand out. 2. Deals honestly and diplomatically. The manager, who owns their mistakes, deals openly and honestly with others, earns the respect of those they are trying to lead. 3. Demonstrates flexibility. The manager who is responsive to the needs of the business and the needs of employees is able to keep his team on target and yet achieve the goals of the business. 4. Shows commitment and reliability. The manager who delivers their promises shows their team that they are reliable and promotes trust. 5. Listens effectively. The manager who seeks first to understand, then to be understood. Dr. Stephen Covey is a manager who will always have their finger on the pulse of the business. 6. A good negotiator. The manager who comes to the table prepared to give a little that the outcome is a positive one for everyone, will not only earn the respect of his employees but be guaranteed of the opportunity for further negotiations in the future. 7. A thorough planner. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. This saying is especially true for managing. The manager is a coach to their team and the team are looking to them for the game plan. 27. 8 is fair. The manager who doesn't take sides, show favoritism or victimize those they are supervising, will earn their trust and in turn, will have more personal power to influence their team for good. 9 knows how to have fun and has a good sense of humor. The manager who is able to promote a safe and happy work environment where appropriate fun is embraced, will ensure the retention of staff. 10 seeks to understand their workers. The manager who is able to accurately assess the skills, abilities and personalities of their work team, will be able to develop individual managers to maximize their effectiveness and help them reach their potential, whilst focusing their efforts on the goal. Q.8 What do you mean by managerial role? Discuss the different roles that managers play in an organization. They and S. To meet the many demands of performing their functions, managers assume multiple roles. A role is an organized set of behaviors. Henry Mintzberg has identified 10 roles common to the work of all managers. The 10 roles are divided into 3 groups: interpersonal, informational, and decisional. The informational roles link all managerial work together. The interpersonal roles ensure that information is provided. The decisional roles make significant use of the information. The performance of managerial roles and the requirements of these roles can be played at different times by the same manager and to different degrees depending on the level and function of management. The 10 roles are described individually, but they form an integrated whole. The 3 interpersonal roles are primarily concerned with interpersonal relationships. 28. In the figurehead role, the manager represents the organization in all matters of formality. The top-level manager represents the company legally and socially to those outside of the organization. The supervisor represents the work group to higher management and higher management to the work group. In the liaison role, the manager interacts with peers and people outside the organization. The top-level manager uses the liaison role to gain favors and information, while the supervisor uses it to maintain the routine flow of work. The leader role defines the relationships between the manager and employees. The direct relationships with people in the interpersonal roles place the manager in a unique position to get information. Thus, the 3 informational roles are primarily concerned with the information aspects of managerial work. In the monitor role, the manager receives and collects information. In a role of disseminator, the manager transmits special information into the organization. The top-level manager receives and transmits more information from people outside the organization than the supervisor. In a role of spokesperson, the manager disseminates the organization's information into its environment. Thus, the top-level manager is seen as an industry expert, while the supervisor is seen as a unit or departmental expert. The unique access to information places the manager at the center of organizational decision-making. There are 4 decisional roles. In the entrepreneur role, the manager initiates change. In the disturbance handler role, the manager deals with threats to the organization. 29. In the resource allocator role, the manager chooses where the organization will expend its efforts. In the negotiator role, the manager negotiates on behalf of the organization. The top-level manager makes the decisions about the organization as a whole, while the supervisor makes decisions about his or her particular work unit. The supervisor performs these managerial roles but with different emphasis than higher managers. Supervisory management is more focused and short-term in outlook. Thus, the figurehead role becomes less significant and the disturbance handler and negotiator roles increase in importance for the supervisor. Since leadership permeates all activities, the leader role is among the most important of all roles at all levels of management. Q.9. What are responsibilities of managers and discuss the importance of management. Responsibilities of a managerial position. 1. Supervise and manage the overall performance of staff in his department. 2. Achieve business and organization goals, visions and objectives. 3. Analyzing, reporting, giving recommendations and developing strategies on how to improve quality and quantity. 4. Involved in employee selection, career development, succession planning and periodic training. 5. Working out compensations and rewards. 6. Responsible for the growth and increase in the organization's finances and earnings. They and S. 30. 7. Identifying problems, creating choices and providing alternatives. Courses of actions. Importance of management. It helps in achieving group goals. It arranges the factors of production, assembles and organizes the resources, integrates the resources in effective manner to achieve goals. It directs group efforts towards the achievement of predetermined goals. By defining objective of organization clearly, there would be no wastage of time, money and effort. Management converts disorganized resources of men, machines, money, etc. into useful enterprise. These resources are coordinated, directed and controlled in such a manner that enterprise work towards attainment of goals. Optimum utilization of resources. Management utilizes all the physical and human resources productively. This leads to efficacy in management. Management provides maximum utilization of scarce resources by selecting its best possible alternate use in industry from out of various uses. It makes use of experts, professional, and these services leads to use of their skills, knowledge, and proper utilization and avoids wastage. If employees and machines are producing its maximum, there is no underemployment of any resources. Reduces costs. It gets maximum results through minimum input by proper planning and by using minimum input and getting maximum output. Management uses physical, human and financial resources in such a manner which results in best combination. This helps in cost reduction. Establishes sound organization. No overlapping of efforts, smooth and coordinated functions. To establish sound organizational structure is one of the objective of management which is in tune with objective of organization, and for fulfillment of this, that establishes effective authority and responsibility relationship by who is accountable to whom, who can give instructions to whom, to our superiors and to our subordinates. Management fills up various positions with 31. Right persons, having right skills, training and qualification. All jobs should be cleared to everyone. Establishes equilibrium. It enables the organization to survive in changing environment. It keeps in touch with the changing environment. With the change's external environment, the initial coordination of organization must be changed. So it adapts organization to changing demand of market/changing needs of societies. It is responsible for growth and survival of organization. Essentials for prosperity of society. Efficient management leads to better economical production which helps in turn to increase the welfare of people. Good management makes a difficult task easier by avoiding wastage of scarce resource. It improves standard of living. It increases the profit which is beneficial to business, and society will get maximum output at minimum cost by creating employment opportunities which generate income in hands. Organization comes with new products and research as beneficial for society. Q.10. What do you mean by principles of management? Explain principles of management. They and S. Management principles are statements of fundamental truth. These principles serve as guidelines for decisions and actions of managers. They are derived through observation and analysis of events which managers have to face in practice. Fayol made his mark as an industrialist with the French coal and iron combine of commentary for Chambolt, where he spent his entire working life. According to Fayol, the activities of an industrial organization could be divided into 6 categories as shown below. 32. Financial, commercial, security, managers' activities, technical, accounting, managerial. 33. Technical, production and manufacturing, commercial, buying, selling and exchange, financial security, acquiring and using capital, protection of property and person, accounting, stock taking, balance sheet, cost and statistics, managerial, planning, organizing, command, control. And there are 14 principles of management described by Henri Fayol. 1. Division of work. The specialization of the workforce according to the skills of person, creating specific personal and professional development within the labor force and therefore increasing productivity, leads to specialization which increases the efficiency of labor. By separating a small part of work, the worker's speed and accuracy in its performance increases. This principle is applicable to both technical as well as managerial work. 2. Authority and responsibility. Issue of commands followed by responsibility for their consequences. Authority means the right of a superior to give order to his subordinates. Responsibility means obligation for performance. This principle suggests that there must be parity between authority and responsibility. They are coexistent and go together, and are 2 sides of the same coin. 3. Discipline. A discipline refers to obedience, proper conduct in relation to others, respect of authority, etc. It is essential for the smooth functioning of all organizations. For unity of command, this principle states that every subordinate should receive orders and be accountable to one and only one superior. If an employee receives orders from 34 more than one superior, it is likely to create confusion and conflict. Unity of command also makes it easier to fix responsibility for mistakes. 5. Unity of direction. All those working in the same line of activity must understand and pursue the same objectives. All related activities should be put under one group. There should be one plan of action for them, and they should be under the control of one manager. It seeks to ensure unity of action, focusing of efforts and coordination of strength. 6. Subordination of individual interest. The management must put aside personal considerations and put company objectives first. Therefore, the interests of goals of the organization must prevail over the personal interests of individuals. 7. Remuneration. Workers must be paid sufficiently, as this is a chief motivation of employees and therefore greatly influences productivity. The quantum and methods of remuneration payable should be fair, reasonable and rewarding of effort. 8. The degree of centralization. The amount of power wielded with the central management depends on company size. Centralization implies the concentration of decision-making authority at the top management. Sharing of authority with lower levels is called decentralization. The organization should strive to achieve the proper balance. 9. Scalar chain. Scalar chain refers to the chain of superiors ranging from top management to the lowest rank. The principle suggests that there should be a clear line of authority from top to bottom linking all managers at all levels. It is considered a chain of command. It involves a concept called a gangplank, using which a subordinate may contact a superior or his superior in case of an emergency, defying the 35. Hierarchy of control. However, the immediate superiors must be informed about the matter. 10. Order. Social order ensures the fluid operation of a company through authoritative procedure. Material order ensures safety and efficiency in the workplace. 11. Equity. Employees must be treated kindly, and justice must be enacted to ensure a just workplace. Managers should be fair and impartial when dealing with employees. 12. Stability of tenure of personnel. The period of service should not be too short and employees should not be moved from positions frequently. An employee cannot render useful service if he is removed before he becomes accustomed to the work assigned to him. 13. Initiative. Using the initiative of employees can add strength and new ideas to an organization. Initiative on the part of employees is a source of strength for the organization because it provides new and better ideas. Employees are likely to take greater interest in the functioning of the organization. 36. 14. Esprit de corps. This refers to the need of managers to ensure and develop morale in the workplace, individually and communally. Team spirit helps develop an atmosphere of mutual trust and understanding. These can be used to initiate and aid the processes of change, organization, decision-making, skill management and the overall view of the management function. Q.11. Differentiate between unity of command and unity of direction. A and S. Basis. Unity of command, unity of direction. Meaning, it implies that a subordinate should receive orders and instructions from only one boss. It means one head, one plan for a group of activities having similar objectives. Nature. It is related to the functioning of personnel. Grave accent S. It is related to the functioning of departments, or organization as a whole. Necessity. It is necessary for fixing responsibility of each subordinate. It is necessary for sound organization. Advantage. It avoids conflicts, confusion and chaos. It avoids duplication of efforts and wastage of resources. 37. Result. It leads to better superior-subordinate relationship. It leads to smooth running of the enterprise. Q.12. A and S. Write short note on scientific management. Frederick Winslow Taylor, commonly known as Father of Scientific Management, started his career as an operator and rose to the position of chief engineer. He conducted various experiments during this process which forms the basis of scientific management. It implies application of scientific principles for studying and identifying management problems. According to Taylor, scientific management is an art of knowing exactly what you want your men to do and seeing that they do it in the best and cheapest way. In Taylor's view, If a work is analyzed scientifically, it will be possible to find one best way to do it. Hence, scientific management is a thoughtful, organized, dual approach towards the job of management against hit or miss or rule of thumb. According to Drucker, the cost of scientific management is the organized study of work, the analysis of work into simplest element and systematic management of worker grave accent s performance of each element. Q.13. Briefly explain the principles of scientific management. They and S. 1. Development of science for each part of man's job. Replacement of rule of thumb A. This principle suggests that work assigned to any employee should be observed, analyzed with respect to each and every element and part and time involved in it. 38. B. This means replacement of a rule of thumb by the use of method of inquiry, investigation, data collection, analysis and framing of rules. C. Under scientific management, decisions are made on the basis of facts and by the application of scientific decisions. 2. Scientific selection, training and development of workers. A. There should be scientifically designed procedure for the selection of workers. B. Physical, mental and other requirements should be specified for each and every job. C. Workers should be selected and trained to make them fit for the job. D. The management has to provide opportunities for development of workers having better capabilities. E. According to Taylor, efforts should be made to develop each employee to his greatest level and efficiency and prosperity. 3. Cooperation between management and workers or harmony not discord. Taylor believed in cooperation and not individualism. B. It is only through cooperation that the goals of the enterprise can be achieved efficiently. C. There should be no conflict between managers and workers. D. Taylor believed that interest of employer and employees should be fully harmonized so as to secure mutually understanding relations between them. 4. Division of responsibility. 8. This principle determines the concrete nature of roles to be played by different levels of managers and workers. 39. B. The management should assume the responsibility of planning the work whereas workers should be concerned with execution of task. C. Thus planning is to be separated from execution. 5. Mental revolution. 8. The workers and managers should have a complete change of outlook towards their mutual relation and work effort. B. It requires that management should create suitable working conditions and solve all problems scientifically. C. Similarly, workers should attend their jobs with utmost attention, devotion and carefulness. They should not waste the resources of enterprise. D. Handsome remuneration should be provided to workers to boost up their morale. E. It will create a sense of belongingness among workers. F. They will be disciplined, loyal and sincere in fulfilling the task assigned to them. G. There will be more production and economical growth at a faster rate. 6. Maximum prosperity for employer and employees. 8. The aim of scientific management is to see maximum prosperity for employer and employees. B. It is important only when there is opportunity for each worker to attain his highest efficiency. C. Maximum output and optimum utilization of resources will bring higher profits for the employer and better wages for the workers. D. There should be maximum output in place of restricted output. E. Both managers and workers should be paid handsome leave. 40. Q.14. Short note on criticism of scientific management. A and S. Although it is accepted that the scientific management enables the management to put resources to its best possible use and manner, yet it has not been spared of severe criticism. Workers' viewpoint. 1. Unemployment. Workers feel that management reduces employment opportunities from them through replacement of men by machines and by increasing human productivity. Less workers are needed to do work, leading to chucking out from their jobs. 2. Exploitation. Workers feel they are exploited as they are not given due share in increasing profits, which is due to their increased productivity. Wages do not rise in proportion as rise in production. Wage payment creates uncertainty and insecurity beyond the standard output. There is no increase in wage rate. 3. Monotony. Due to excessive specialization, the workers are not able to take initiative on their own. Their status is reduced to being mere cogs in wheel. Jobs become dull. Workers lose interest in jobs and derive little pleasure from work. 4. Weakening of trade union. To everything is fixed and predetermined by management. So it leaves no room for trade unions to bargain as everything is standardized, standard output, standard working conditions, standard time, etc. This further weakens trade unions, creates a rift between efficient and inefficient workers according to their wages. 5. Overspeeding. The scientific management plays standard output time, so they have to rush up and finish the work in time. These have adverse effect on health of workers. The workers speed up to that standard output, so scientific management drives the workers to rush towards output and finish work in standard time. 41. Employer viewpoint. 1. Expensive. Scientific management is a costly system and huge investment is required in establishment of planning department, standardization, work study, training of workers. It may be beyond reach of small firms. Heavy food investment leads to increase in overhead costs. 2. Time-consuming. Scientific management requires mental revision and complete reorganizing of organization. A lot of time is required for work, study, standardization and specialization. During this overhauling of organization, the work suffers. Q.15. They and S. Define administration. In which respect is it different from management? According to Theo Hyman, administration means overall determination of policies, setting of major objectives, the identification of general purposes and laying down of broad programs and projects. It refers to the activities of higher level. It lays down basic principles of the enterprise. According to Newman, administration means guidance, leadership and control of the efforts of the groups towards some common goals, whereas management involves conceiving, initiating and bringing together the various elements, coordinating, actuating, integrating the diverse organizational components while sustaining the viability of the organization towards some predetermined goals. In other words, it is an art of getting things done through and with the people in formally organized groups. The difference between management and administration can be summarized under 2 categories. 1. Functions. 2. Usage/applicability. 42. On the basis of functions, basis management administration. Meaning, management is an art of getting things done through others by directing their efforts towards the achievement of predetermined goals. It is concerned with formulation of broad objectives, plans and policies. Nature. Management is an executing function. Administration is a decision-making function. Process. Management decides who should add it and how should he do it. Administration decides what is to be done and when it is to be done. Function. Management is a doing function because managers get work done under their supervision. Administration is a thinking function because plans and policies are determined under it. Skills. Technical and human skills. Conceptual and human skills. Level. Middle and lower level function. Top level function. 43. On the basis of usage. Basis applicability management. It is applicable to business concerns, i.e. profit-making organization. The management decisions are influenced by the values, opinions, beliefs and decisions of the managers. Management constitutes the employees of the organization who are paid remuneration in the form of salaries and wages. Administration. It is applicable to non-business concerns, i.e. clubs, schools, hospitals, etc. The administration is influenced by public opinion, GOVD, policies, religious organizations, customs, etc. Administration represents owners of the enterprise who earn return on their capital invested and profits in the form of dividend. Influence. Status. Practically, there is no difference between management and administration. Every manager is concerned with both administrative management function and operative management function as shown in the figure. However, the managers who are higher up in the hierarchy denote more time on administrative function and the lower level denote more time on directing and controlling worker grave accent S performance, i.e. management. 44. The figure above clearly shows the degree of administration and management performed by the different levels of management. For theoretical purposes, it may be convenient to separate the function of management, but practically these functions are overlapping in nature, i.e. they are highly inseparable. Each function blends into the other and each affects the performance of others. Q.16 explains system approach of modern management theory. They and S. Modern management theory. The past 30 years witnessed a knowledge explosion in the field of managements. During this period, management writers have been primarily concerned with integrating the findings of scientific management, principles of management and human relations movements. However, two integrating trends have developed throwing adequate light on the dynamic nature of management, namely, System approach, contingency approach. 45. These modern management theories consider all elements, the whole organization, as well as components, parts. The organization is viewed as adaptive systems which must, in order to survive, adjust to environmental changes. The organization and its environment are seen as interdependent. Each depends on the other for resources, from scientific management, human relations. It is background that furnishes a foundation for understanding contemporary management theory and practice. Human relation. The management process. System theory. Contingency theory. Behavioral science. System approach. A system, in simple terms, is a set of interrelated parts. It is a group of interrelated but separate elements working toward a common purpose. The arrangement of elements must be orderly. There must be proper communication facilitating interaction between the elements, and finally the interaction should lead to achieve a common goal. The organization transforms input into a variety of outputs and offers the same to the external environment in the form of products, good and system theory. 46. 46. Services. Sale of the output provides the necessary energy feedback to the system cycle. Input. Transformation process. Output. Feedback. The system approach provides a unified focus to organizational efforts. A major contribution of the system approach results from its strong emphasis on the interrelatedness or mutuality of the parts of an organization. Another important benefit of system theory lies in its treatment of the organization as an open system. A closed system imports something from the environment and exports something into the environment. The system theory of management is characterized by the following. A. Dynamic. Within the organization, the process of interaction between subsystems is dynamic. B. Multilevel and multidimensional. It is micro within the nation grave accent S industrial network, and it is macro with respect to its internal units. The modern manager is forced to recognize the importance of parts as well as the whole. C. Multimotivated. Motivation is an extremely complex process, and drawing simplistic equation is a futile exercise. D. Probabilistic. Modern theory tends to probabilistic. Statement in modern theory tends to be qualified with phrases such as may be, in general, and. 47. Usually because modern theory recognizes that few predictive statement can be made with certainty. E. Multidisciplinary. Modern theory of management is enriched by contribution from disciplines like sociology, psychology, economics, anthropology, ecology, mathematics, operations research, and so on. F. Descriptive. Individuals are free to select the objectives and the methods to improve organizational effectiveness. G. Multivariable. There is no simple cause-effect phenomenon in organizational activities. An event may be the product of many factors that are in turn interrelated and interdependent. H. Adaptive. An organization and its environment are expected to rearrange their parts. The organization tries to cope with environment changes through the feedback mechanism. An organization must produce output acceptable to components in environment. It is true that system theory provides a broad philosophical perspective that bridge academic disciplines and mounts integrated attack on a wide variety of problems. Lem. Q.17. They and S. Explain contingency approach of management. The contingency approach believes that it is impossible to select one way of managing that works best in all situations, like promoted by Taylor. Their approach is to identify the conditions of a task, scientific management school, managerial job, administrative management school, and person-human relations school as parts of a complete management situation, and attempt to integrate them all into a solution which is most appropriate for a specific circumstance. Contingency refers to the immediate contingent toward touching circumstances. 48. 48. The manager has to systematically try to identify which technique or approach will be the best solution for a problem which exists in a particular circumstance or context. The contingency approach seeks to apply to real-life situations ideas drawn from various schools of management thought. They claim that no one approach is universally applicable and different problems and situations require different approaches. Managers must try to find the approach that is the best for them in a certain given situation, so they can achieve their goals. It is important to note that the contingency approach stresses the need for managers to examine the relationship between the internal and external environment of an organization. Critics of the contingency approach have blamed it to lack theoretical foundation and are basically intuitive. Managers today are advised to analyze the situation and use ideas from the various schools of thought to find an appropriate combination of management techniques to meet the needs of the situation. Q.18. Explain bureaucratic management and its characteristics. A&S. Max Weber contributed the theory of bureaucracy to the management thought. He used the word bureaucracy to the specific king of administrative organization whose characteristics are given below. Max Weber S. main contribution to management is his theory of authority structure and his description of organizations based on the nature of authority relations within them. It was Weber S. contention that there are types of legitimate authority which run as follows. Rational legal authority. Obedience is owed to a legally established position or rank within the hierarchy of a business, military unit, government, and so on. 49. Traditional authority. People obey a person because he belongs to certain class or occupies the position traditionally recognized as possessing authority, such as a royal family. Charismatic authority. Obedience is based on the follower's belief that a person has some special power or appeal. Characteristics of bureaucracy. A bureaucratic organization shows the following characteristics. Division of work. There is a high degree of division of work at both the operative and administrative levels. This leads to specialization of work. Hierarchy of positions. There is a hierarchy of authority in the organization. Each lower position is under the control of a higher one. Thus, there is unity of command. Rules and regulations. The rules, regulations and procedures are clearly laid down by the top administration. Their benefits are as under impersonal conduct. There is impersonality of relationships among the organizational members. The decisions are entirely guided by rules and regulations and are totally impersonal. There is no room for emotions and sentiments in this type of structure. Staffing. The personnel are employed by a contractual relationship between the employee and employer. The employees get salary every month which is based on the job they handle and also the length of service. Technical competence. The bureaucrats are neither elected nor inherited, but they are appointed through selection. Promotions in bureaucracies are also based on technical qualifications and performance. Official records. The decisions and activities of the organization are formally recorded and preserved safely for future reference. This is made 50 possible by extensive filing system. The official records are considered as the encyclopedia of various activities performed by the organization. The filing system makes the organization independent of individuals. The official records serve as the memory of the organization. Q.19. Explain classical perspective of management and basic principles laid down by classical school A&S. Classical perspective. The empirical school seeks to generalize the nature of management based on the experience of successful managers. The basic theme of this assumption is that if a particular business operation is successful, or if a particular problem was effectively tackled by application of a particular strategy, then the methods of strategy through which success was achieved by the managers could be equally effectively used by others in the case of similar business situations in future. The basic principles laid down by the classical school may be summed up as follows. Scalar chain. It is the forerunner of the hierarchy principle under which authority flows from the top to the bottom level managerial positions. Unity of command. It lays down that each individual should only receive orders from one hierarchical superior. Exception. It emphasizes maximum delegation of authority such that the superior is required to intervene only in the case of non-routine, exceptional tasks. Span of control. It advocates that each superior should only have a manageable number of subordinates to direct and control specialization. It emphasizes differentiation of organizational activities based on objectives, processes, location, clients, etc. 51. Scientific method. It advocates the use of experimental methods to develop sound organizational and management methods. Q.20. Discuss in detail the social responsibility of business towards its different stakeholders. Responsibility towards itself. According to Keith Davis, I feel that the first responsibility of a business is to operate its business effectively. To operate the business efficiently and effectively to ensure the production and distribution of goods and services at a profit. This is necessary for its survival, growth and socially responsible behavior. To make policies that ensures achievement of economic and social objectives of the business simultaneously. To maintain wealth, producing resources intact by making profits to offset risk of business activities. To innovate and expand business by producing new products/services, by entering into new markets, by using new raw materials, etc. To make every effort to remain competitive at all times. To make every effort to perform all the activities foolproof. Every defect or fault should be corrected without being told or pointed out by others. To ensure protection of natural environment for sustainable economic development for future growth and development. Responsibility towards shareholders/owners to ensure payment of fair and consistent return on their investment. To make proper use of their funds within their authority. A&S 52. 52. To ensure safety and growth of their investments. To make full and proper disclosure of all the facts within the framework of law and regulations, to hold meetings from time to time and give proper notice of them to all the shareholders. To conduct all the meeting as per the law, to send copies of annual reports and other documents as required any the law. To ensure compliance of Code of Corporate Governance framed by the SCBI/Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Responsibility towards customers to ensure supply of goods/services of right quality, at right time, at right place and right price. To ensure supply of goods/services to meet the needs of different classes/categories of customers. To enhance product safety. To reduce polluting potential of products. To improve packaging and labeling through eco-friendly measures, to innovate and produce energy-efficient products, to adopt fair and ethical practices and not indulge in adulteration, hoarding and black marketing, profiteering practices. Responsibility toward employees to employ all the employees at the right job, to pay fair wages/salaries, bonus, etc. To ensure healthy and safe working conditions/work environment. 53. To provide adequate benefits such as housing, medical facilities, insurance cover, retirement benefits, etc. To provide reasonable job security. To provide opportunities of training, promotions, career development and job satisfaction. To provide day care facilities for working parents. To ensure equal opportunity to all without any discrimination of cost, creed, sex, etc. To ensure compliance of workplace ethics. Responsibility towards suppliers to ensure timely payment of all the bills due. To bargain for a win-win situation for both, to make every effort to ensure long-term sound business relations. To ensure proper performance of terms of contract. To refrain from taking undue advantages of legal loopholes in the supply contract. To ensure adequate secrecy of contract terms. To provide opportunities to new suppliers. To inform about the market trends and other facts to suppliers. Responsibility towards competitors to play fair game in competition for encouraging healthy competition, not to indulge in monopolistic and restrictive practices that restrains the free and fair competition. 54. 54. Avoid misleading advertisements, false or unreasonable product guarantees, tricky pricing that create the barriers to healthy competition. Not to indulge in brand assassination activities, not to mislead or misrepresent the customers about competitors. To ensure free entry of competitors for the healthy growth of trade and economy. Responsibility towards government to comply with the laws and regulations of the land, to pay the taxes and duties honestly within the time, to actively contribute to the economic development of the country. To contribute to the implementation of socio-economic plans and programs for the government such as family welfare, poverty alleviation, etc. To respond positively to the government appeals and instructions. To restrain from seeking undue favors from government officials and deny bribes and other corrupt practices. To donate funds and provide other helps in the times of national calamity. Responsibility towards environment to help develop local infrastructure like footways, roads, water supplies, parks and sanitation facilities, educational institutions, hospitals, etc. To provide employment opportunities to local people. To impart job-oriented education and training to unemployed persons. Contribute to the upliftment of weaker sections of the community. 55. To support minority-owned businesses. To encourage local trade, to make efforts to recycle the products, to save environment, to refrain from all kinds of antisocial, unfair and unethical activities. Q.21. A&S. Explain social responsibility of business. The term SRD/CSR has been defined in more than one ways. Narrow or classical definitions, neoclassical definitions, and modern eclectic definitions. Narrow or classical definitions. Classical definitions state SRB/CSR is limited to the shareholders only. Nobel laureate Milton Friedman has stated that there is one and only one social responsibility of business, i.e. to use its resources in activities designed to increase its profit. Grave accent S so long as it stays within the rules of the game. Neoclassical definitions. The neoclassical definitions of SRB/CSR state that the responsibility of business goes beyond making profit for shareholders, but to all the stakeholders: customers, workforce, suppliers, competitors, local community, government, etc. According to H.R. Bowen, social responsibility of business means to pursue those policies, to make those decisions, or to follow those lines of action which are desirable in terms of the objectives and values of our society. The neoclassical definitions state that SRB/CSR means the obligation of business organizations to make decisions and take actions that will contribute 56 to the welfare and interests of all its stakeholders as well as the public at large. Modern eclectic definitions. The modern concept states the business has responsibility towards the various living stakeholders as well as towards the generations to come. Therefore, the modern eclectic concept of social responsibility includes the responsibility of business towards all its stakeholders and natural environment for sustainable economic development. According to Lord Holmes and Richard Watts, CSR is the continuing commitment by business to behave ethically and contribute to economic development while improving the quality of life of the workforce and their families as well as the local community and society at large. SRB/CSR is the obligation of business not only to its all stakeholders and society at large but also the commitment of business to contribute to sustainable economic development and to protect the natural environment. 57. Case study. You are working as a manager in a steam company XYZ Limited. Due to the financial problem in the organization, company is unable to pay the salary from last 2 months. Due to this crisis, employees are in major grievance, leaving the job because of insecurity. This type of situation is facing by the company first time, so there is no historic data available to solve the major problem. Employees are the asset for any organization. If grievance is not going to handle properly, then this will going to harm the organization. As manager's work is also to solve the grievance in the organization. Answer the following. 1. What steps should the manager take in this situation? 2. Here the manager becomes leader. Comment 3. What are the qualities of the manager? 58. Unit II. Fundamental of planning. Q.1. Define planning and explain its characteristics. A and S. It is the basic function of management. Planning is the process of bridging the gap between where we are and where we want to be in the future. In other words, planning is looking ahead, relating today grave accent S events with tomorrow grave accent S possibilities. According to Kuhns, planning is deciding in advance what to do, when to do and how to do. It bridges the gap from where we are and where we want to be. The plan is a future course of actions. It is an exercise in problem solving and decision making. Planning is determination of courses of action to achieve desired goals. Thus, planning is a systematic thinking about ways and means for accomplishment of predetermined goals. Planning is necessary to ensure proper utilization of human and non-human resources. It is all-pervasive. It is an intellectual activity and it also helps in avoiding confusion, uncertainties, risks, wastages, etc. Planning is a process of seeking answer to some of the following particular questions. VII what is to be done. VII why it is to be done. By XXXI how the work will be done. Who will do the work. When the work will be done. 59. XII where the work will be done. Planning pervades at all the levels of organization. But the scope of planning is not the same at each level of organization. Higher the level of organization, broader the scope of planning. Planning may be long-term and short-term. Characteristics of planning. 1. Planning is goal-oriented. A. Planning is made to achieve desired objective of business. B. The goals established should general acceptance, otherwise individual efforts and energies will go misguided and misdirected. C. Planning identifies the action that would lead to desired goals quickly and economically. D. It provides sense of direction to various activities. e.g. Maruti Udiak is trying to capture once again Indian car market by launching diesel models. 2. Planning is looking ahead. A. Planning is done for future. B. It requires keeping in future, analyzing it and predicting it. C. Thus planning is based on forecasting. D. A plan is a synthesis of forecast. D. It is a mental predisposition for things to happen in future. 3. Planning is an intellect process. A. Planning is a mental exercise involving creative thinking, sound judgment and imagination. B. It is not a mere guesswork but a rotational thinking. 60. C. The manager can prepare sound plans only if he has sound judgment, foresight and imagination. D. Planning is always based on goals, facts and considered estimates. 4. Planning involves choice and decision-making. A. Planning essentially involves choice among various alternatives. B. Therefore, if there is only one possible course of action, there is no need planning because there is no choice. C. Thus, decision-making is an integral part of planning. D. The manager is surrounded by a number of alternatives. He has to pick the best depending upon requirements and resources of the enterprises. 5. Planning is the primary function of management/primacy of planning. A. Planning lays foundation for other functions of management. B. It serves as a guide for organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. C. All the functions of management are performed within the framework of plans laid out. D. Therefore planning is the basic or fundamental function of management. 6. Planning is a continuous process. A. Planning is an ending function due to the dynamic business environment. B. Plans are also prepared for specific period F time and at the end of that period, plans are subjected to revaluation and review in the light of new requirements and changing conditions. C. Planning never comes into end till the enterprise exists. Issues, problems may keep cropping up and they have to be tackled by planning effectively. 61. 7. Planning is all-pervasive. A. It is required at all levels of management and in all departments of enterprise. B. Of course, the scope of planning may differ from one level to another. C. The top level may be more concerned about planning the organization as a whole, whereas the middle level may be more specific in departmental plans and the lower level plans implementation of the same. 8. Planning is designed for efficiency. A. Planning leads to accomplishment of objectives at the minimum possible cost. B. It avoids wastage of resources and ensures adequate and optimum utilization of resources. C. The plan is worthless or useless if it does not value the cost incurred on it. D. Therefore planning must lead to saving of time, effort and money. E. Planning leads to proper utilization of men, money, materials, methods and machines. 9. Planning is flexible. A. Planning is done for the future. B. Since future is unpredictable, planning must provide enough room to cope with the changes in customer grave accent test demand, competition, geography, policies etc. C. Under changed circumstances, the original plan of action must be revised and updated to make it more practical. 62. Q. To explain briefly the steps involved in planning process. A and S. Steps in planning function. Planning function of management involves following steps: 1. Establishment of objectives. A. Planning requires a systematic approach. B. Planning starts with the setting of goals and objectives to be achieved. C. Objectives provide a rationale for undertaking various activities as well as indicate direction of efforts. D. Moreover, objectives focus the attention of managers on the end results to be achieved. E. As a matter of fact, objectives provide nucleus to the planning process. Therefore, objectives should be stated in a clear, precise and unambiguous language. Otherwise the activities undertaken are bound to be ineffective. F. As far as possible, objectives should be stated in quantitative terms. For example, number of men is working, wages given, units produced, etc. But such an objective cannot be stated in quantitative terms like performance of quality control manager, effectiveness of personnel manager. G. Such goals should be specified in qualitative terms. Hence objectives should be practical, acceptable, workable and achievable. 2. Establishment of planning premises. A planning premises are the assumptions about the likely shape of events in future. 63. B. They serve as a basis of planning. C. Establishment of planning premises is concerned with determining where one tends to deviate from the actual plans and causes of such deviations. D. It is to find out what obstacles are there in the way of business during the course of operations. The establishment of planning premises is concerned to take such steps that avoid these obstacles to a great extent. F. Planning premises may be internal or external. Internal includes capital investment policy, management, labor relations, philosophy of management, etc. Whereas external includes socio-economic, political and economical changes. G. Internal premises are controllable whereas external are non-controllable. 3. Choice of alternative course of action. A. When forecasts are available and premises are established, the number of alternative course of actions have to be considered. B. For this purpose, each and every alternative will be evaluated by weighing its pros and cons in the light of resources available and requirements of the organization. C. The merits, demerits as well as the consequences of each alternative must be examined before the choice is being made. D. After objective and scientific evaluation, the best alternative is chosen. E. The planners should take help of various quantitative techniques to judge the stability of an alternative. 64. 64. 4. Formulation of derivative plans. A. Derivative plans are the subplans or secondary plans which help in the achievement of main plan. B. Secondary plans will flow from the basic plan. These are meant to support and expedite the achievement of basic plans. C. These detailed plans include policies, procedures, rules, programs, budgets, schedules, etc. For example, if profit maximization is the main aim of the enterprise, derivative plans will include sales maximization, production maximization, and cost minimization. D. Derivative plans indicate accomplishing various tasks. 5. Securing cooperation. 8. After the plans have been determined, it is necessary rather advisable to take subordinates or those who have to implement these plans into confidence. B. The purposes behind taking them into confidence are: A. Subordinates may feel motivated since they are involved in decision-making process. B. The organization may be able to get valuable suggestions and improvement in formulation as well as implementation of plans. C. Also, the employees will be more interested in the execution of these plans. 6. Follow-up/appraisal of plans. A. After choosing a particular course of action, it is put into action. B. After the selected plan is implemented, it is important to appraise its effectiveness, time, schedule, and sequence of. 65. C. This is done on the basis of feedback or information received from departments or persons concerned. D. This enables the management to correct deviations or modify the plan. E. This step establishes a link between planning and controlling function. F. The follow-up must go side by side the implementation of plans so that in the light of observations made, future plans can be made more realistic. Q.3. Discuss merits and demerits of planning. A and S. Advantages of planning. 1. Planning facilitates management by objectives. A. Planning begins with determination of objectives. B. It highlights the purposes for which various activities are to be undertaken. C. In fact, it makes objectives more clear and specific. D. Planning helps in focusing the attention of employees on the objectives or goals of enterprise. E. Without planning, an organization has no guide. F. Planning compels a manager to prepare a blueprint of the courses of action to be followed for accomplishment of objectives. G. Therefore, planning brings order and rationality into the organization. H2. Planning minimizes uncertainties. A. Business is full of uncertainties. B. There are risks of various types due to uncertainties. 66. 66. C. Planning helps in reducing uncertainties of future as it involves anticipation of future events. D. Although future cannot be predicted with 100% accuracy, but planning helps management to anticipate future and prepare for risks by necessary provisions to meet unexpected turn of events. E. Therefore, with the help of planning, uncertainties can be forecasted, which helps in preparing standbys. As a result, uncertainties are minimized to a great extent. 3. Planning facilitates coordination. A. Planning revolves around organizational goals. B. All activities are directed towards common goals. C. There is an integrated effort throughout the enterprise in various departments and groups. D. It avoids duplication of efforts. In other words, it leads to better coordination. D. It helps in finding out problems of work performance and aims at rectifying the same. 4. Planning improves employees' morale. A. Planning creates an atmosphere of order and discipline in organization. B. Employees know in advance what is expected of them and therefore conformity can be achieved easily. C. This encourages employees to show their best and also earn reward for the same. D. Planning creates a healthy attitude towards work environment which helps in boosting employees' morale and efficiency. 67. 5. Planning helps in achieving economies. A. Effective planning secures economy since it leads to orderly allocation of resources to various operations. B. It also facilitates optimum utilization of resources which brings economy in operations. C. It also avoids wastage of resources by selecting most appropriate use that will contribute to the objectives of enterprise. For example, raw materials can be purchased in bulk and transportation cost can be minimized. At the same time it ensures regular supply for the production department, that is, overall efficiency. 6. Planning facilitates controlling. A. Planning facilitates existence of certain planned goals and standard of performance. B. It provides basis of controlling. C. We cannot think of an effective system of controlling without existence of well thought out plans. D. Planning provides predetermined goals against which actual performance is compared. E. In fact, planning and controlling are the two sides of a same coin. If planning is root, controlling is the fruit. 7. Planning provides competitive edge. A. Planning provides competitive edge to the enterprise over the others which do not have effective planning. This is because of the fact that planning may involve changing in work methods, quality, quantity designs, extension of work, redefining of goals, etc. 68. 68. B. With the help of forecasting not only the enterprise secures its future but at the same time it is able to estimate the future motives of its grave accent's competitor which helps in facing future challenges. C. Therefore, planning leads to best utilization of possible resources, improves quality of production and thus the competitive strength of the enterprise is improved. 8. Planning encourages innovations. 8. In the process of planning, managers have the opportunities of suggesting ways and means of improving performance. B. Planning is basically a decision-making function which involves creative thinking and imagination that ultimately leads to innovation of methods and operations for growth and prosperity of the enterprise. Disadvantage of planning. Internal limitations. There are several limitations of planning. Some of them are inherent in the process of planning like rigidity and others arise due to shortcoming of the techniques of planning and in the planners themselves. 1. Rigidity. A. Planning has tendency to make administration inflexible. B. Planning implies prior determination of policies, procedures and programs and a strict adherence to them in all circumstances. C. There is no scope for individual freedom. D. The development of employees is highly doubted because of which management might have faced lot of difficulties in future. E. Planning therefore introduces inelasticity and discourages individual initiative and experimentation. 69. 2. Misdirected planning. A. Planning may be used to serve individual interests rather than the interest of the enterprise. B. Attempts can be made to influence setting of objectives, formulation of plans and programs to suit one's own requirement rather than that of whole organization. C. Machinery of planning can't never be freed of bias. Every planner has his own likes, dislikes, preferences, attitudes and interests which is reflected in planning. 3. Time-consuming. A. Planning is a time-consuming process because it involves collection of information, its analysis and interpretation thereof. This entire process takes a lot of time, especially where there are a number of alternatives available. B. Therefore, planning is not suitable during emergency or crisis when quick decisions are required. 4. Probability in planning. A. Planning is based on forecasts which are mere estimates about future. B. These estimates may prove to be inexact due to the uncertainty of future. C. Any change in the anticipated situation may render plans ineffective. D. Plans do not always reflect real situations in spite of the sophisticated techniques of forecasting because future is unpredictable. Thus, excessive reliance on plans may prove to be fatal. 70. 75. False sense of security. Elaborate planning may create a false sense of security to the effect that everything is taken for granted. Managers assume that as long as they work as per plans, it is satisfactory. Therefore they fail to take up timely actions and an opportunity is lost. Employees are more concerned about fulfillment of plan performance rather than any kind of change. 6. Expensive collection, analysis and evaluation of different information, facts and alternatives involves a lot of expense in terms of time, effort and money. According to Coutts and O'Grave grave accent expenses on planning should never exceed the estimated benefits from planning. Grave accent external limitations of planning. 1. Political climate, change of government from Congress to some other political party, etc. 2. Labor union, strikes, lockouts, agitations. 3. Technological changes, computerization, modern techniques and equipments. 4. Policies of competitors, e.g. policies of Coca-Cola and Pepsi. 5. Natural calamities, earthquakes and floods. 6. Changes in demand and prices, change in fashion, change in tastes, change in income level, demand falls, price falls, etc. 71. Q.4. Explain basic significance of planning. A&S. Significance of planning in a complex business situation. Planning helps managers meet the challenges posed by the environment, while at the same time minimizing the risks associated with them. Planning is a prerequisite not only for achieving success but also for surviving in a complex and competitive world. Planning is very important in all types of organizations. It forces organizations to look ahead and decide their future course of action so as to improve their profitability. Organizations that plan in advance are more likely to succeed than those which fail to plan for the future. Planning is the first step in the management process. It ensures that the employees of an organization carry out their work in a systematic and methodical manner. It also helps coordinate and control various tasks and makes sure that resources are used optimally. 1. Focuses attention on objectives. 2. Offsets uncertainty and risk. 3. Provides sense of direction. 4. Provides guidelines for decision-making. 5. Increases organizational effectiveness. 6. Provides efficiency in operations. 7. Ensures better coordination. 8. Facilitates control. 9. Encourages innovation and creativity. 10. Facilitates delegation. Q.5. What is meant by management by objectives? Discuss its advantage and limitations. 72. A&S. Management by objectives. MBO is a process of agreeing upon objectives within an organization so that management and employees agree to the objectives and understand what they are in the organization. The term management by objectives was first popularized by Peter Drucker in his 1954 book The Practice of Management. The essence of MBO is participative goal setting, choosing course of actions and decision-making. An important part of the MBO is the measurement and the comparison of the employee's grave accent actual performance with the standards set. Ideally, when employees themselves have been involved with the goal setting and the choosing the course of action to be followed by them, they are more likely to fulfill their responsibilities. Features and advantages. 73. The principle behind management by objectives MBO is basically for employees to have clarity of the roles and responsibilities expected of them. They then understand the objectives they must do and the overall achievement of the organization. They also help with the personal goals of each employee. Some of the important features and advantages of MBO are: 1. Motivation, involving employees in the whole process of goal setting and increasing employee empowerment increases employee job satisfaction and commitment. 2. Better communication and coordination. Frequent reviews and interactions between superiors and subordinates helps to maintain harmonious relationships within the enterprise and also solve many problems faced during the period. 3. Clarity of goals for subordinates have a higher commitment to objectives that they set themselves than those imposed on them by their managers. 5. Managers can ensure that objectives of the subordinates are linked to the organization grave accent S objectives. Limitations. There are several limitations to the assumptive base underlying the impact of managing by objectives, including 1. It overemphasizes the setting of goals over the working of a plan as a driver of outcomes. 2. It underemphasizes 3. Companies evaluated there, from MBO to Deming to project management and beyond. 74. When this approach is not properly set, agreed and managed by organizations, in self-centered thinking employees, it may trigger an unethical behavior of distorting the system of results and financial figures to falsely achieve targets that were set in a short-term, narrow, bottom-line fashion. The use of MBO needs to be carefully aligned with the culture of the organization. While MBO is not as fashionable as it was before the empowerment fad, it still has its place in management today. The key difference is that rather than set objectives from a cascade process, objectives are discussed and agreed, based upon the more strategic picture being available to employees. Engagement of employees in the objective-setting process is seen as a strategic advantage by many. A saying around MBO and critical success factors, or CSFs, what gets measured gets done, is perhaps the most famous aphorism of performance measurement. Therefore, to avoid potential problems, smart and smarter objectives need to be agreed upon in the true sense rather than set. Q.6. They and S. Describe the process of management by objective. The process of management by objectives: setting preliminary objectives at the top. The goals set by the superior are preliminary, based on an analysis and judgment as to what can and should be accomplished by the organization within a certain period. This requires taking into account the company grave accent's strengths and weakness in light value of available opportunities and threats. These goals must be regarded as tentative and subject to modification while the entire chain of verifiable objectives is worked out by subordinates. Clarifying organizational roles. The relationship between expected results and the responsibility for attaining them often needs to be clarified. Analysis of an organization grave accent's structure often reveals that the responsibility is vague and that 75. Reorganization is needed. Ideally, each and sub-goal should be one particular person grave accent's clear responsibility. Setting subordinates' objectives. After making sure that subordinate managers have been informed or pertinent general objectives, strategies and planning premises, the superior can then proceed to work with subordinates in setting their objectives. Superior must be patient counselors, helping their subordinates develop consistent and supportive objectives and being careful not to set goals that are impossible to achieve. The superior grave accent's judgment and final approval must be based on what is reasonably attainable, what is fully supportive of other level objectives, what is consistent with the goals of other managers in other functions, and what is consistent with the longer-run objectives of the department of the company. One of the major advantages of carefully setting up a network of verifiable goals is tying in the need of capital, materials and human resources at the same time. By relating these resources to the goals themselves, superiors can better see the most effective and economical way of allocating them. Recycling objectives. SETTING objectives is not only a joint process but also an interactive one. Objectives can hardly be set by starting at the top and dividing them up among subordinates. Nor should they be started from the bottom. The degree of recycling is required. Top management may have some idea of what their subordinate grave accent's objectives should be, but they will almost certainly change these preconceived goals as the contributions of the subordinates come into focus. Q7. Explain decision-making and its types. They and S. Decision-making is the cognitive process of reaching the decision. It is a position or opinion or judgment reached after consideration. Decision-making is the process of mapping the likely consequences of decisions, working out the importance of individual factors, and choosing the best course of action to take. 76. Decision-making is choosing between alternative courses of action using cognitive processes, memory, thinking, evaluation, etc. The thought process of select a logical choice from among the available options. When trying to make a good decision, the person must weigh the positives and negatives of each option, and consider all the alternatives. For effective decision-making, the person must be able to forecast the outcome of each option as well, and based on all these items, determine which option is the best for that particular situation. Types of decision-making. Irreversible. These are those types of decisions, which, if made once, cannot be unmade. Whatever is decided would then have its repercussions for a long time to come. It commits one irrevocably when there is no other satisfactory option to the chosen course. The manager should never use it as an all-or-nothing instant escape from general indecision. Reversible: this is the decisions that can be changed completely, before, during or after the agreed action begins. Such types of decisions allow one to acknowledge a mistake early in the process rather than perpetuate it. It can be effectively used for changing circumstances where reversal is necessary. Experimental: these types of decisions are not final until the first results appear and prove themselves to be satisfactory. It requires positive feedback before one can decide on a course of action. It is useful and effective when correct move is unclear but there is a clarity regarding general direction of action. Trial and error. 77. In this type of decisions, knowledge is derived out of past mistakes. A certain course of action is selected and is tried out. If the results are positive, the action is carried further. If the results appear negative, another course is adopted, and so on and so forth. A trial is made and an error is occurred. Till the night combination this continues. It allows the manager to adopt and adjust plans continuously before the full and final commitment. It uses both the positive and negative feedback before selecting one particular course of action. Made in stages: here the decisions are made in steps until the whole action is completed. It allows close monitoring of risks as one accumulates the evidence of outcomes and obstacles at every stage. It permits feedback and further discussion before the next stage of the decision is made. Cautious: that allows time for contingencies and problems that may crop up later at the time of implementation. The decision makers hedge their best of efforts to adopt the night course. It helps to limit the risks that are inherent to decision making, although this may also limit the final gains. It allows one to scale down those projects which look too risky in the first instance. Conditional: such types of decisions can be altered if certain foreseen circumstances arise. It is an either/or grave accent kind of decision with all options kept open. It prepares one to react if the competition makes a new move or if the game plan changes radically. It enables one to react quickly to the ever-changing circumstances of competitive markets. Delayed: such decisions are put on hold till the decision makers feel that the time is right. A go-ahead is given only when required elements are in place. It prevents one from making the decision at the wrong time or before all the facts is known. It may, at times, result in the foregoing of opportunities in the market that needs fast action. 78. 78. Q.8. They and S. Explain decision-making and step involved in decision-making. Decision-making is a skill that cuts across everything managers do. Managers have to decide what to produce, how to motivate, how to control, and so on. The decision-making process describes the elements of an organization that accepts and processes information inputs and transforms them into useful conclusion. Making a good decision is a difficult exercise. It is true that theorists have disagreed on the numbers of steps involved in the decision-making in the decision-making process, but they have tried forcefully to bring out the importance of a normative decision-making model specifying the following steps of decision-making as shown in Fig. below. Awareness of a problem. Diagnose and state the problem. Develop the alternative. Evaluate the alternative. Select the better alternative. Feedback. Implement and verify the decision. Steps in decision-making. The awareness of a problem. The first step in the decision-making process is recognizing the problem. The manager must become aware that a problem exists and that it is important enough for managerial action. Finding the real problem and defining them is a difficult job. Managers may have to examine cause-effect relationships in a problem situation in a systematic way. The manager is expected to monitor the decision-making environment, understands the cause, and tries to define the real problem carefully. 79. B. Diagnose and state the problem. A successful manager must have the ability to weed out the wheat from the chaff before deciding on a specific course of action. Once aware of problem, he must state the real problem. He must try to solve the problem, not the symptoms. The best diagnostician is not the man who makes the largest number of correct diagnoses, but the man who can spot early and correct right away his own mistaken diagnosis. The manager may be required to use judgment and experience before defining the problem in specific measurable terms. C. Developing alternative: the statement of the problem in clear, Measurable terms enables executives to develop alternatives. Developing alternative solutions guarantees adequate focus and alteration on the problem. It helps managers to fully test the soundness of every proposal before it is finally translated into action. The ability to develop alternative is as important as making a right decision among alternatives. The development of alternative is a creative, innovative activity. The evaluation of alternative. Decision maker tries to outline the advantage and disadvantage of each alternative. The consequences of each alternative would also be considered. The alternative that have been advanced must be genuine, that is, every one of these alternatives should adequately solve the problem. The decision should lie between genuine alternative. The primary objective of evaluation is not to find out one magic solution. The strengths and weakness of each alternative become apparent as they are compared with the criteria and weights established for the purposes. Each selection of the best alternative: in this step the decision maker merely selects the alternative that will maximize the results in terms of existing objectives. In a dynamic environment, selection process is not as simple as it appears to be. The ability to select best course of action from several possible alternatives separates the successful managers from the less successful ones. Peter Drucker has offered the following critical for making the right choice among available alternatives. 80. The risk. The manager has to weigh the risks of each course of action against the expected gains. Economy of effort. The alternative that will give the greatest output for the least inputs in terms of material and human resources is obviously the best one to be selected. Timing. If the situation has great urgency, the best alternative is one that dramatizes the decision and notice on the organization that something important is happening. The limitation of resources, physical, financial and human resources, impose a limitation on the choice of selection. Of these, the most important resource whose limitations have to be considered are the human being who will carry out the decision. If adequate human resources are not currently available, the decision should be deferred. Implementation and follow-up. After making the decision, the manager must implement it. He must see whether it has actually worked or not. In other words, he must seek feedback regarding the effectiveness of the implemented solution. Feedback allows managers to become aware of the recent problem associated with the solution. It permits managers to monitor the effects of their acts to gauge their success. They can evaluate their own decision-making abilities. The manager should also see whether the subordinates are unwilling or unable to implement, allow them to participate in the decision-making process at an early stage, and provide absolute incentives for satisfactory performance. Programmed decision. A programmed decision is one that is routine and respective. Rules and policies are established well in advance to solve recurrent problems quickly. On the basis of pre-established set of alternatives, programmed decisions can be made in a routine way. Since programmed decisions are relatively easy and simple of manager to make them, free managers for more challenging and difficult lieutenant problem solving. Programmed decisions are usually made by lower-level personnel in organization in which the market and technology are 81. Relatively stable, and many routine, highly structured problems must be solved. Decisions are highly utilized, and the decision maker simply recognizes the problem and implements the predetermined solution. Non-programmed decisions. Non-programmed decisions deal with unique/unusual problem. The decision maker has to make a decision in a poorly structured situation, one in which those are no pre-existing, cut-and-dried solution. The common feature in these decisions is that they are novel and non-recurring, and there are no ready-made courses of action to resort to. Because non-programmed decision often involves broad, large-range consequence for the organization, they are made by higher-level personnel only. Non-programmed decisions are quite common in such organizations as research and development firms, where situations are partly structured and decisions being made are non-routine and complex. Case study. The management hired new employees for their newly opened consultancy firm. All the employees are new. As expected, they do not know each very well. Unfortunately, the hiring process of the company is not by batch. Sometimes the company will only choose one among the applicant that will pass the examination. In this, the sole applicant as always need to adjust with her co-employee. During this period, she is not assured if she is playing her role in developing teamwork in the company. Let us take that for granted the work or transaction happen only in computer. In this working environment, developing teamwork is less possible. All the workers are busy meeting deadlines and on grave accent T have to relax. Because of the citations, workers are not given the time to know each other very well, although they have little communication thrust. Computer 82. 82. Unit II. Fundamental of organizing. Q.1. Define organization and steps involved in performing organizational activity. Organizing is the function of management which follows planning. It is a function in which the synchronization and combination of human, physical and financial resources takes place. All the three resources are important to get results. Therefore, organizational function helps in achievement of results, which in fact is important for the functioning of a concern. According to Chester Barnard, organizing is a function by which the concern is able to define a role positions, the jobs related and the coordination between authority and responsibility. Hence, the manager always has to organize in order to get results. The manager performs organizing function with the help of following steps: 1. Identification of activities. All the activities which have to be performed in a concern have to be identified first. For example, preparation of accounts, making sales, record keeping, quality control, inventory control, etc. All these activities have to be grouped and classified into units. 2. Departmentally organizing the activities. In this step, the manager tries to combine and group similar and related activities into units or departments. This organization of dividing the whole concern into independent units and departments is called departmentation. 3. Classifying the authorities. Once the departments are made, the manager likes to classify the powers and its extent to the managers. This activity of giving a rank in order to the managerial positions is called hierarchy. The A&S 83. Top management is into formulation of policies, the middle-level management into departmental supervision, and lower-level management into supervision of foremen. The clarification of authority helps in bringing efficiency in the running of a concern. This helps in achieving efficiency in the running of a concern. This helps in avoiding wastage of time, money, effort, in avoidance of duplication or overlapping of efforts, and this helps in bringing smoothness in a concern. S working. 4. Coordination between authority and responsibility. Relationships are established among various groups to enable smooth interaction toward the achievement of the organizational goal. Each individual is made aware of his authority, and he/she knows whom they have to take orders from and to whom they are accountable and to whom they have to report. The clear organizational structure is drawn and all the employees are made aware of it. Q2A&S. Discuss the importance of organizing function. Importance of organizing function. 1. Specialization. Organizational structure is a network of relationships in which a work is divided into units and departments. This division of work is helping in bringing specialization in various activities of concern. 2. Well-defined jobs. Organizational structure helps in putting right men on right job, which can be done by selecting people for various departments according to their qualifications, skill and experience. This is helping in defining the jobs properly, which clarifies a role of every person. 3. Clarifies authority. Organizational structure helps in clarifying a role positions to every manager. Status quo. This can be done by clarifying the powers to every manager, and the way he is to exercise those powers should be clarified so that misuse of powers does not take place. Well-defined jobs. 84. 84. And responsibilities attached helps in bringing efficiency into managers' working. This helps in increasing productivity. 4. Coordination. Organization is a means of creating coordination among different departments of the enterprise. It creates clear-cut relationships among positions and ensures mutual cooperation among individuals. Harmony of work is brought by higher-level managers exercising their authority over interconnected activities of lower-level manager. Authority-responsibility relationships can be fruitful only when there is a formal relationship between the two. For smooth running of an organization, the coordination between authority responsibilities is very important. There should be coordination between different relationships. Clarity should be made for having an ultimate responsibility attached to every authority. There is a saying, authority without responsibility leads to ineffective behavior, and responsibility without authority makes personal ineffective. Grave accent. Therefore, coordination of authority, responsibility is very important. 5. Effective administration. The organization structure is helpful in defining the job's positions. The roles to be performed by different managers are clarified. Specialization is achieved through division of work. This all leads to efficient and effective administration. 6. Growth and diversification. A company grave accent's growth is totally dependent on how efficiently and smoothly a concern works. Efficiency can be brought about by clarifying a role positions to the managers, coordination between authority and responsibility, and concentrating on specialization. In addition to this, a company can diversify if its potential grows. This is possible only when the organization structure is well defined. This is possible through a set of formal structure. 7. Sense of security. Organizational structure clarifies the job positions. The roles assigned to every manager are clear. Coordination is possible. Therefore, clarity of powers helps automatically in increasing mental 85 satisfaction and thereby a sense of security in a concern. This is very important for job satisfaction. 8. Scope for new changes, where the roles and activities to be performed are clear and every person gets independence in his working. This provides enough space to a manager to develop his talents and flourish his knowledge. The manager gets ready for taking independent decisions which can be a road or path to adoption of new techniques of production. This scope for bringing new changes into the running of an enterprise is possible only through a set of organizational structure. Q.3. A and S. Explain main principles of organization. Principles of organizing function. The organizing process can be done efficiently if the managers have certain guidelines so that they can take decisions and can act. To organize in an effective manner, the following principles of organization can be used by a manager. 1. Principle of specialization. According to the principle, the whole work of a concern should be divided amongst the subordinates on the basis of qualifications, abilities and skills. It is through division of work specialization can be achieved which results in effective organization. 2. Principle of functional definition. According to this principle, all the functions in a concern should be completely and clearly defined to the managers and subordinates. This can be done by clearly defining the duties, responsibilities, authorities and relationships of people towards each other. Clarifications in authority, responsibility relationships helps in achieving coordination and thereby organization can take place effectively. For example, the primary functions of production, marketing and finance and the authority responsibility relationships in these departments should be clearly 86. Defined to every person attached to that department. Clarification in the authority responsibility relationship helps in efficient organization. 3. Principles of span of control/supervision. According to this principle, span of control is a span of supervision which depicts the number of employees that can be handled and controlled effectively by a single manager. According to this principle, the manager should be able to handle what number of employees under him should be decided. This decision can be taken by choosing either from a wide or narrow span. There are two types of span of control: A. Wide span of control. It is one in which a manager can supervise and control effectively a large group of persons at one time. The features of this span are: A. Less overhead cost of supervision. B. Prompt response from the employees. C. Better communication. D. Better supervision. D. Better coordination. F. Suitable for repetitive jobs. According to this span, one manager can effectively and efficiently handle a large number of subordinates at one time. B. Narrow span of control. According to this span, the work and authority is divided amongst many subordinates and the manager doesn't supervises and control a very big group of people under him. The manager, according to a narrow span, supervises a selected number of employees at one time. The features are: A. Work which requires tight control and supervision, for example, handicrafts, ivory work, etc. which requires craftsmanship. Their narrow span is more helpful. B. Coordination is difficult to be achieved. 87. C. Communication gaps can come. D. Messages can be distorted. E. Specialization work can be achieved. Factors influencing span of control: managerial abilities. In the concerns where managers are capable, qualified and experienced, wide span of control is always helpful. Competence of subordinates. Where the subordinates are capable and competent and their understanding levels are proper, the subordinates tend to very frequently visit the superiors for solving their problems. In such cases, the manager can handle a large number of employees. Hence wide span is suitable. Nature of work. If the work is of repetitive nature, wide span of supervision is more helpful. On the other hand, if work requires mental skill or craftsmanship, tight control and supervision is required, in which narrow span is more helpful. Delegation of authority. When the work is delegated to lower levels in an efficient and proper way, confusions are less and congeniality of the environment can be maintained. In such cases, wide span of control is suitable and the supervisors can manage and control large number of subordinates at one time. Degree of decentralization. Decentralization is done in order to achieve specialization in which authority is shared by many people and managers at different levels. In such cases, the tall structure is helpful. There are certain concerns where decentralization is done in very effective way which results in direct and personal communication between superiors and subordinates, and the superiors can manage large number of subordinates very easily. In such cases, wide span again helps. For principle of scalar chain. Scalar chain is a chain of command or authority which flows from top to bottom. With a chain of authority available, wastages of resources are minimized. 88. Communication is effected, overlapping of work is avoided and easy organization takes place. The scalar chain of command facilitates workflow in an organization which helps in achievement of effective results. As the authority flows from top to bottom, it clarifies the authority positions to managers at all levels and it facilitates effective organization. 5. Principle of unity of command. It implies one subordinate one superior relationship. Every subordinate is answerable and accountable to one boss at one time. This helps in avoiding communication gaps and feedback and response is prompt. Unity of command also helps in effective combination of resources, that is, physical, financial resources, which helps in easy coordination and, therefore, effective organization. Authority flows from top to bottom. Managing Director, Marketing Manager, Sales/Media Manager, Salesman. According to the above diagram, the Managing Director has got the highest level of authority. This authority is shared by the Marketing Manager, who shares his authority with the Sales Manager. From this chain of hierarchy, the official chain of communication becomes clear, which is helpful in achievement of results and which provides stability to a concern. This scalar chain of command always flows from top to bottom and it defines the authority positions of different managers at different levels. Q.4 A and S. Explain classification of organization and explain its relation also. Organizations are basically classified on the basis of relationships. There are two types of organizations formed on the basis of relationships in an organization. 89. 1. Formal organization. This is one which refers to a structure of well-defined jobs, each bearing a measure of authority and responsibility. It is a conscious determination by which people accomplish goals by adhering to the norms laid down by the structure. This kind of organization is an arbitrary setup in which each person is responsible for his performance. Formal organization has a formal setup to achieve predetermined goals. 2. Informal organization. It refers to a network of personal and social relationships which spontaneously originates within the formal setup. Informal organizations develop relationships which are built on likes, dislikes, feelings and emotions. Therefore, the network of social groups based on friendships can be called as informal organizations. There is no conscious effort made to have informal organization. It emerges from the formal organization and it is not based on any rules and regulations as in case of formal organization. Relationship between formal and informal organizations. For concerns working both formal and informal organization are important. Formal organization originates from the set organizational structure and informal organization originates from formal organization. For an efficient organization, both formal and informal organizations are required. They are the two phases of a same concern. Formal organization can work independently, but informal organization depends totally upon the formal organization. Formal and informal organization helps in bringing efficient working organization and smoothness in a concern. Within the formal organization, the members undertake the assigned duties in cooperation with each other. They interact and communicate amongst themselves. Therefore, both formal and informal organizations are important. When several people work together for achievement of organizational goals, social tie-ups tends to build and therefore informal organization helps to secure cooperation by which goals can be achieved smooth. Therefore, we can say that informal organization emerges from formal organization. 90. Q.5A and S. What do you mean by the line organization, its features and its merits and demerits? Line organization is the oldest and simplest method of administrative organization. According to this type of organization, the authority flows from top to bottom in a concern. The line of command is carried out from top to bottom. This is the reason for calling this organization as scalar organization, which means scalar chain of command is a part and parcel of this type of administrative organization. In this type of organization, the line of command flows on an even basis without any gaps in communication and coordination taking place. Features of line organization. 1. It is the simplest form of organization. 2. Line of authority flows from top to bottom. 3. Specialized and supportive services do not take place in these organizations. 4. Unified control by the line officers can be maintained since they can independently take decisions in their areas and spheres. This kind of organization always helps in bringing efficiency then communication and bringing stability to a concern. Merits of line organization. 1. Simplest. It is the most simple and oldest method of administration. 2. Unity of command. In these organizations, superior-subordinate relationship is maintained and scalar chain of command flows from top to bottom. 3. Better discipline. The control is unified and concentrates on one person and therefore, he can independently make decisions of his own. Unified control ensures better discipline. 91. 4. Fixed responsibility. In this type of organization, every line executive has got fixed authority, power and fixed responsibility attached to every authority. 5. Flexibility. There is a coordination between the topmost authority and bottom line authority. Since the authority relationships are clear, line officials are independent and can flexibly take the decision. This flexibility gives satisfaction of line executives. 6. Prompt decision. Due to the factors of fixed responsibility and unity of command, the officials can take prompt decisions. Demerits of line organization. 1. Over-reliance. The line executive grave accent test decisions are implemented to the bottom. This results in over-relying on the line officials. 2. Lack of specialization. The line organization flows in a scalar chain from top to bottom and there is no scope for specialized functions. For example, the expert advises whatever decisions are taken by line managers are implemented in the same way. 3. Inadequate communication. The policies and strategies which are framed by the top authority are carried out in the same way. This leaves no scope for communication from the other end. The complaints and suggestions of lower authority are not communicated back to the top authority. So there is one-way communication. 4. Lack of coordination. Whatever decisions are taken by the line officials, in certain situations wrong decisions are carried down and implemented in the same way. Therefore, the degree of effective coordination is less. 5. Authority leadership. The line officials have tendency to misuse their authority positions. This leads to autocratic leadership and monopoly in the concern. 92. Q.6. A and S. What do you mean by line and staff organization? Explain its features and merits and demerits. Line and staff organization is a modification of line organization and it is more complex than line organization. According to this administrative organization, specialized and supportive activities are attached to the line of command by appointing staff supervisors and staff specialists who are attached to the line authority. The power of command always remains with the line executives and staff supervisors guide, advise and counsel the line executives. Personal secretary to the managing director is a staff official. Managing director. Production manager, plant supervisor, foreman. Marketing manager, markup supervisor, salesman. Finance manager, chief assistant accountant. Features of line and staff organization. 1. There are two types of staff: A. Staff assistants, PA to managing director, secretary to marketing manager. B. Staff supervisor, operation control manager, quality controller, Pro. 2. Line and staff organization is a compromise of line organization. It is more complex than line concern. 93. 3. Division of work and specialization takes place in line and staff organization. 4. The whole organization is divided into different functional areas to which staff specialists are attached. 5. Efficiency can be achieved through the features of specialization. 6. There are two lines of authority which flow at one time in a concern. A line authority, B staff authority. Power of command remains with the line executive and staff serves only as counselors. Merits of line and staff organization. 1. Relief. Two line of executives. In a line and staff organization, the advice and counseling which is provided to the line executives divides the work between the two. The line executive can concentrate on the execution of plans and they get relieved of dividing their attention to many areas. 2. Expert advice. The line and staff organization facilitates expert advice to the line executive at the time of need. The planning and investigation which is related to different matters can be done by the staff specialist and line officers can concentrate on execution of plans. 3. Benefit of specialization. Line and staff through division of whole concern into two types of authority divides the enterprise into parts and functional areas. This way every officer or official can concentrate in its own area. 4. Better coordination. Line and staff organization through specialization is able to provide better decision-making and concentration remains in view. 94. Hands. This feature helps in bringing coordination in work as every official is concentrating in their own area. 5. Benefits of research and development. Through the advice of specialized staff, the line executives get time to execute plans by taking productive decisions which are helpful for a concern. This gives a wide scope to the line executive to bring innovations and go for research work in those areas. This is possible due to the presence of staff specialists. 6. Training. Due to the presence of staff specialists and their expert advice serves as ground for training to line officials. Line executives can give due concentration to their decision-making. This in itself is a training ground for them. 7. Balanced decisions. The factor of specialization which is achieved by line staff helps in bringing coordination. This relationship automatically ends up the line official to take better and balanced decisions. 8. Unity of action. Unity of action is a result of unified control. Control and its effectively take place when coordination is present in the concern. In the line and staff authority all the officials have got independence to make decisions. This serves as effective control in the whole enterprise. Demerits of line and staff organization. 1. Lack of understanding. In a line and staff organization, there are two authority flowing at one time. This results in the confusion between the two. As a result, the workers are not able to understand as to who is their commanding authority. Hence the problem of understanding can be a hurdle in effective running. 2. Lack of sound advice. The line official gets used to the expertise advice of the staff. At times the staff specialist also provides wrong decisions which the line executives have to consider. This can affect the efficient running of the enterprise. 95. 3. Line and staff conflicts. Line and staff are two authorities which are flowing at the same time. The factors of designations, status influence sentiments which are related to their relation, can pose a distress on the minds of the employees. This leads to minimizing of coordination which hampers a concern grave accent's working. 4. Costly. In line and staff concern, the concerns have to maintain a high remuneration to staff specialist. This proves to be costly for a concern with limited finance. 5. Assumption of authority. The power of concern is with the line official but the staff dislikes it as they are the one more in mental work. 6. Staff steals the show. In a line and staff concern, the higher returns are considered to be a product of staff advice and counseling. The line officials feel dissatisfied and a feeling of distress enters a concern. The satisfaction of line officials is very important for effective results. Q.7. A&S. What do you mean by functional organization? Explain its features and merits and demerits. Functional organization has been divided to put the specialists in the top position throughout the enterprise. This is an organization in which we can define as a system in which functional departments are created to deal with the problems of business at various levels. Functional authority remains confined to functional guidance to different departments. This helps in maintaining quality and uniformity of performance of different functions throughout the enterprise. The concept of functional organization was suggested by F. W. Taylor, who recommended the appointment of specialists at important positions. For example, the functional head and marketing director directs the subordinates throughout the organization in his particular area. This means that subordinates receives orders from several specialists, managers working above them. 96. 96. Features of functional organization. 1. The entire organizational activities are divided into specific functions such as operations, finance, marketing and personal relations. 2. Complex form of administrative organization compared to the other two. 3. Three authorities exist: line, staff and function. 4. Each functional area is put under the charge of functional specialists and he has got the authority to give all decisions regarding the function whenever the function is performed throughout the enterprise. 5. Principle of unity of command does not apply to such organization as it is present in line organization. Merits of functional organization. 1. Specialization. Better division of labor takes place which results in specialization of function and grave accent as consequent benefit. 2. Effective control. Management control is simplified as the mental functions are separated from manual functions. Checks and balances keep the authority within certain limits. Specialists may be asked to judge the performance of various sections. 3. Efficiency. Greater effect. ICNP is achieved because of every function performing a limited number of functions. 4. Economy. Specialization compiled with standardization facilitates maximum production and economical costs. 5. Expansion. Expert knowledge of functional manager facilitates better control and supervision. Demerits of functional organization. 1. Confusion. The functional system is quite complicated to put into operation, especially when it is carried out at low levels. Therefore, coordination becomes difficult. 97. 2. Lack of coordination. Disciplinary control becomes weak as a worker is commanded not by one person but a large number of people. Thus, there is no unity of command. 3. Difficulty in fixing responsibility. Because of multiple authority, it is difficult to fix responsibility. 4. Conflicts. There may be conflicts among the supervisory staff of equal ranks. They may not agree on certain issues. 5. Costly. Maintenance of specialist grave accent S staff of the highest order is expensive for a concern. Q.8. They and S. Explain delegation of authority and its elements. The manager alone cannot perform all the tasks assigned to him. In order to meet the targets, the manager should delegate authority. Delegation of authority means division of authority and powers downwards to the subordinate. Delegation is about entrusting someone else to do parts of your job. Delegation of authority can be defined as subdivision and suballocation of powers to the subordinates in order to achieve effective results. Elements of delegation. 1. Authorities. In context of a business organization, authority can be defined as the power and right of a person to use and allocate the resources efficiently, to take decisions and to give orders so as to achieve the organizational objectives. Authority must be well defined. All people who have the authority should know what is the scope of their authority is and they should grave accent misutilize it. Authority is the right to give commands, orders and get the things done. The top-level management has greatest author. IDY. Authority always flows from top to bottom. It explains how a superior gets work done from his subordinate by clearly explaining what is expected of him and how he should go about it. Authority should be 98. 98. Accompanied with an equal amount of responsibility. Delegating the authority to someone else does grave accent imply escaping from accountability. Accountability still rests with the person having the utmost authority. 2. Responsibility is the duty of the person to complete the task assigned to him. The person who is given the responsibility should ensure that he accomplishes the tasks assigned to him. If the tasks for which he was held responsible are not completed, then he should not give explanations or excuses. Responsibility without adequate authority leads to discontent and dissatisfaction among the person. Responsibility flows from bottom to top. The middle level and lower level management holds more responsibility. The person held responsible for a job is answerable for it. If he performs the tasks assigned as expected, he is bound for praises. While if he does grave accent accomplish tasks assigned as expected, then also he is answerable for that. 3. Accountability means giving explanations for any variance in the act to all performance from the expectations set. Accountability cannot be delegated. For example, if A grave accent is given the task with sufficient authority, and A grave accent delegates this task to B and asks him to ensure that task is done well, responsibility rests with B grave accent, but accountability still rests with A grave accent. The top-level management is most accountable. Being accountable means being innovative, as the person will think beyond his scope of job. Accountability, in short, means being answerable for the end result. Accountability can be escaped. It arises from responsibility. Q.9. They and S. Discuss the steps performed by the manager in delegation of authority. For achieving delegation, the manager has to work in a system and has to perform following steps. 1. Assignment of tasks and duties. 2. Granting of authority. 99. 3. Creating responsibility and accountability. Delegation of authority is the base of superior-subordinate relationship. It involves following steps: 1. Assignment of duties. The delegator first tries to define the task and duties to the subordinate. He also has to define the result expected from the subordinates. Clarity of duty as well as result expected has to be the first step in delegation. 2. Granting of authority. Subdivision of authority takes place when a superior divides and shares his authority with the subordinate. It is for this reason, every subordinate should be given enough independence to carry the task given to him by his superiors. The managers at all levels delegate authority and power which is attached to their job positions. The subdivision of powers is very important to get effective results. 3. Creating responsibility and accountability. The delegation process does not end once powers are granted to the subordinates. They at the same time have to be obligatory towards the duties assigned to them. Responsibility is said to be the factor or obligation of an individual to carry out his duties in best of his ability as per the directions of superior. Responsibility is very important. Therefore, it is that which gives effectiveness to authority. At the same time, responsibility is absolute and cannot be shifted. Accountability, on the other hand, is the obligation of the individual to carry out his duties as per the standards of performance. Therefore, it is said that authority is delegated, responsibility is created, and accountability is imposed. Accountability arises out of responsibility and responsibility arises out of authority. Therefore, it becomes important that with every authority position an equal and opposite responsibility should be attached. 100. Therefore every manager the delegator has to follow the system to finish up the delegation process. Equally important is the delegate S role, which means his responsibility and accountability is attached with the authority over to here. Q.10. Distinguish between authority and responsibility. They and S. Relationship between authority and responsibility. Authority is the legal right of person or superior to command his subordinates, while accountability is the obligation of individual to carry out his duties as per standards of performance. Authority flows from the superiors to subordinates, in which orders and instructions are given to subordinates to complete the task. It is only through authority the manager exercises control. In a way, through exercising the control, the superior is demanding accountability from subordinates. If the marketing manager directs the sales supervisor for 50 units of sale to be undertaken in a month, if the above standards are not accomplished, it is the marketing manager who will be accountable to the chief executive officer. Therefore, we can say that authority flows from top to bottom and responsibility flows from bottom to top. Accountability is a result of responsibility and responsibility is result of authority. Therefore, for every authority an equal accountability is attached. Differences between authority and responsibility. Authority. Responsibility. It is the legal right of a person or a superior to command his subordinates. It is the obligation of subordinate to perform the work assigned to him. Authority is attached to the responsibility arises out of superior-subordinate. 101. Position of a superior in concern. Relationship in which subordinate agrees to carry out duty given to him. Authority can be delegated by a superior to a subordinate. Responsibility cannot be shifted and is absolute. It flows from top to bottom. It flows from bottom to top. Q.11. Explain the importance of delegation. They and S. Delegation of authority is a process in which the authority and powers are divided and shared amongst the subordinates. When the work of the manager gets beyond his capacity, there should be some system of sharing the work. This is how delegation of authority becomes an important tool in organization function. Through delegation, the manager, in fact, is multiplying himself by dividing/multiplying his work with the subordinates. The importance of delegation can be justified by 1. Through delegation, the manager is able to divide the work and allocate it to the subordinates. This helps in reducing his workload so that he can work on important areas such as planning, business analysis, etc. 2. With the reduction of load on superior, he can concentrate his energy on important and critical issues of concern. This way he is able to bring effectiveness in his work as well in the work unit. This effectivity helps a manager to prove his ability and skills in the best manner. 3. Delegation of authority is the ground on which the superior-subordinate relationship stands. An organization functions as the authority flows from top level to bottom. This in fact shows that through delegation, the superior 102 subordinate relationship become meaningful. The flow of authority is from top to bottom, which is a way of achieving results. 4. Delegation of authority in a way gives enough room and space to the subordinates to flourish their abilities and skill. Through delegating powers, the subordinates get a feeling of importance. They get motivated to work, and this motivation provides appropriate results to a concern. Job satisfaction is an important criterion to bring stability and soundness in the relationship between superior and subordinates. Delegation also helps in breaking the monotony of the subordinates so that they can be more creative and efficient. Delegation of authority is not only helpful to the subordinates, but it also helps the managers to develop their talents and skills. Since the manager get enough time through delegation to concentrate on important issues, their decision-making gets strong, and in a way they can flourish the talents which are required in a manager. Through granting powers and getting the work done, helps the manager to attain communication skills, supervision and guidance, effective motivation, and the leadership traits are flourished. Therefore it is only through delegation the manager can be tested on his traits. 5. Delegation of authority is help to both superior and subordinates. This in a way gives stability to a concern grave accent's working. With effective results, a concern can think of creating more departments and divisions flow working. This will require creation of more managers, which can be fulfilled by shifting experienced, skilled managers to these positions. This helps in both vertical as well as horizontal growth, which is very important for a concern grave accent's stability. Q.12. Explain the principles of delegation of authority. There are a few guidelines in form of principles which can be of help to the manager to process of delegation. The principles of delegation are as follows. 1. Principle of result accepted suggests that every manager, before delegating the powers to the subordinate, should be able to clearly define the goals as well as 103 results expected from them. The goals and targets should be completely and clearly defined, and the standards of performance should also be notified clearly. For example, a marketing manager explains the salesman regarding the units of sale to take place in a particular day. Say 10 units a day have to be the target sales, while a marketing manager provides these guidelines of sales. Mentioning the target sales is very important so that the salesman can perform his duty efficiently with a clear set of mind. 2. Principle of parity of authority and responsibility. According to this principle, the manager should keep a balance between authority and responsibility. Both of them should go hand in hand. According to this principle, if a subordinate is given the responsibility to perform a task, then at the same time he should be given enough independence and power to carry out the task effectively. This principle also does not provide excessive authority to the subordinate, which at times can be misused by him. The authority should be given in such a way which matches the task given to him. Therefore, there should be no degree of disparity between the two. 3. Principle of absolute responsibility. This says that the authority can be delegated, but responsibility cannot be delegated by managers to his subordinates, which means responsibility is fixed. The manager at every level, no matter what is his authority, is always responsible to his superior for carrying out his task by delegating the powers. It does not mean that he can escape from his responsibility. He will always remain responsible till the completion of task. Every superior is responsible for the acts of their subordinates and are accountable to their superior. Therefore, the superiors cannot pass the blame to the subordinates even if he has delegated certain powers to subordinates. Example: if the production manager has been given the work and the machine breaks down, if repairman is not able to get repair work done, production manager will be responsible to CEO if the IR production is not completed. 4. Principle of authority level. This principle suggests that a manager should exercise his authority within the jurisdiction/framework given. The manager 104 should be forced to consult their superiors with those matters of which the authority is not given. That means before a manager takes any important decision, he should make sure that he has the authority to do that. On the other hand, subordinates should also not frequently go with regards to their complaints as well as suggestions to their superior if they are not asked to do. This principle emphasizes on the degree of authority and the level up to which it has to be maintained. Q.13. What do you mean by centralization and decentralization? A and S. Centralization is said to be a process where the concentration of decision-making is in a few hands. All the important decision and actions at the lower level, all subjects and actions at the lower level are subject to the approval of top management. According to Allen, centralization is the systematic and consistent reservation of authority at central points in the organization. The implication of centralization can be: 1. Preservation of decision-making power at top level. 2. Preservation of operating authority with the middle-level managers. 3. Preservation of operation at lower level at the directions of the top level. Under centralization, the important and key decisions are taken by the top management and the other levels are into implementations as per the directions of top level. For example, in a business concern, the father and son being the owners decide about the important matters and all the rest of functions like product, finance, marketing, personnel, are carried out by the department heads and they have to act as per instruction and orders of the two people. Therefore in this case, decision-making power remain in the hands of father and son. On the other hand, decentralization is a systematic delegation of authority at all levels of management and in all of the organization. In a decentralization concern, authority is retained by the top management for taking major decisions and framing policies concerning the whole concern. Rest of the authority may be delegated to the middle level and lower level of management. 105. The degree of centralization and decentralization will depend upon the amount of authority delegated to the lowest level. According to Allen, decentralization refers to the systematic effort to delegate to the lowest level of authority except that which can be controlled and exercised at central points. Decentralization is not the same as delegation. In fact, decentralization is all extension of delegation. Decentralization pattern is wider if scope and the authorities are diffused to the lowest level of management. Delegation of authority is a complete process and takes place from one person to another, while decentralization is complete only when fullest possible delegation has taken place. For example, the general manager of a company is responsible for receiving the lead application for the whole of the concern. The general manager delegates this work to the personnel manager who is now responsible for receiving the lead applicants. In this situation delegation of authority has taken place. On the other hand, on the request of the personnel manager, if the general manager delegates this power to all the departmental heads at all levels, in this situation decentralization has taken place. There is a saying that everything that increasing a role of subordinates is decentralization and that decreases a role is centralization. Decentralization is wider in scope and the subordinate grave accent's responsibility increase in this case. On the other hand, in delegation the managers remain answerable even for the acts of subordinates to their superiors. Implications of decentralization. 1. There is less burden on the chief executive as in the case of centralization. 2. In decentralization, the subordinates get a chance to decide and act independently, which develops skills and capabilities. This way the organization is able to process reserve of talents in it. 3. In decentralization, diversification and horizontal can be easily implanted. 106. 4. In decentralization, concern diversification of activities can place effectively since there is more scope for creating new departments. Therefore, diversification growth is of a degree. 5. In decentralization structure, Operations can be coordinated at divisional level, which is not possible in the centralization setup. 6. In the case of decentralization structure, there is greater motivation and morale of the employees since they get more independence to act and decide. 7. In a decentralization structure, coordination to some extent is difficult to maintain as there are lot many departments, divisions, and authority is delegated to maximum possible extent, i.e., to the bottommost level delegation reaches. Centralization and decentralization are the categories by which the pattern of authority relationships became clear. The degree of centralization and decentralization can be affected by many factors like nature of operation, volume of profits, number of departments, size of a concern, etc. The larger the size of a concern, a decentralization setup is suitable in it. Q.14. Distinguish between delegation and decentralization. They and S. Basis delegation managers delegate some of their function and authority to their subordinates. Scope of delegation is limited as superior delegates the powers to the subordinates on individual basis. Decentralization right to take decisions is shared by top management and other level of management. Scope is wide as the decision-making is shared by the subordinates also. Meaning. Scope. 107. Responsibility. Responsibility remains of the managers and cannot be delegated. Freedom is not given to the subordinates as they have to work as per the instructions of their superiors. It is a routine function. Responsibility is also delegated to subordinates. Freedom to work can be maintained by subordinates as they are free to take decision and to implement it. It is an important decision of an enterprise. Decentralization becomes more important in large concerns and it depends upon the decision made by the enterprise. It is not compulsory. It is a systematic act which takes place at all levels and at all functions in a concern. Authority with responsibility is delegated to subordinates. Decentralization is total by nature. It spreads throughout the organization, i.e. at all levels and all functions. It is an outcome which explains relationship between top management and all other departments. Freedom work. Of nature. Need on purpose. Delegation is important in all concerns whether big or small. No enterprises can work without delegation. Grant authority. Of. The authority is granted by one individual to another. Responsibility delegated cannot be. Grant of responsibility. Degree. Degree of delegation varies from concern to concern and department to department. Process. Delegation is a process which explains superior-subordinates relationship. 108. 108. Essentiality. Delegation is essential of all kinds of concerns. Delegation is essential for creating the organization. Decentralization is a decisions function by nature. Decentralization is an optional policy at the discretion of top management. It is considered as a general policy of top management and is applicable to all departments. Considerable freedom. Significance. Withdrawal. Delegated authority can be taken back. Of very little freedom to the subordinates. Freedom action. Decentralization can be called as extension of delegation. When delegation of authority is done to the fullest possible extent, it gives use to decentralization. 109.